And the family, I mean, there was nobody here that was like difficult. You know what I mean? You have a group of 40 or 50 people. You're always thinking somebody might be difficult, or you got to take care of somebody, or somebody's going to desire special attention, or, you know, whatever. There's a complainer in the crowd. There was none of that. It was just a really great group of people, and they were fun. And so it was really nice. I had a really, really nice time. The one thing that how do I put this? It didn't bother me. The one thing that I really prepared for, I thought, this is going to be great. It's going to be a hot day. I've got the Jimmy Buffett margarita maker out. I made 4 margaritas. That was it. I still to now. I had bought like 5 or 6 big giant bundles of these strawberries and the mix and tequila, the Jimmy Buffett tequila and the ice. And I had everything ready to go, man. I had everything ready to go. Yeah. But nobody came outside. So I'd walk in, I like have one, and they're like, "Oh, what's that?" I'd say, "A strawberry margarita. You want one?" No, that's okay. So I sat out back last night with Kristen, maybe 2 or 3 more of them. So,
I'd be crestfallen if I were you. I'd be so excited to have all those ingredients in the Jimmy Buffett machine, only for people to just shut me down. I think that might ruin me. I got to admit, I had fun. You know, so how I got this machine was Kristen had bought a new car a couple of years ago, and a really nice car from a really nice dealership. And when she bought the car, they said, "Okay, you get to go to our prize closet and pick something out." And because, you know, having the tiki bar and everything, she's like, "Man, Bill would love this." So she got me the big margarita maker. You know, it's not the biggest one. It's not the $400 one. It's like the mid-range one, but it was like about $250. Yeah, what a piece of crap, I was going to say.
Right. It was about $250, but I love it. It makes 2 margaritas at a time. Really 3 if you use regular margarita glasses. So, but it's like, this is awesome, you know? So I forgot how much because I only used it once. And you literally just put the ice in the top, you push the button, and you walk away. You put the ingredients in the bottom in the mixing thing, and then put all the ice on the top, and you push the button, and all the ice spins, and it goes through a shaver, a crusher. It comes into the blender. The blender then mixes it up perfectly, and the blender's even got a measuring thing inside the blender. So you fill the first thing with your tequila. It tells you how much for how many drinks. You fill that up, and then you fill it up with your strawberry mix or whatever, and then you put, like I put fresh strawberries in it. I cut them up and put them in there. And then all you do is hit the button, and the ice comes in, and the next thing you know, boom, and you pour it out. You got 2 or 3 of them, and it's awesome. And I'm like having fun doing it, and I'm making them back there like, this is great. And then nobody wanted them. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. On a hot day like this, come on.
Does the top model include a speaker that plays Jimmy Buffett that automatically starts when you turn it on?
No, but I did have like Buffett going at the tiki bar. I had the Brewers on, Good. Buffett music. I had the margarita maker going, and the brats and hot dogs and hamburgers and ribs on a stick and everything cooking. And I was in my heaven. I could have just sat out there by myself, but they had fun. They did games, and, you know, and I don't know. I don't know what all they did. I sat upstairs. There was one, I think it was an aunt or a grandmother. She had just had a hip replacement, and she didn't want to go up and down the stairs anymore. So she just sat on the couch, and I said, I'll sit with you. You know, so I just sat with her for like an hour while they were downstairs opening, you know, presents and doing gifts and all that kind of stuff. So I sat with her, and we just had good conversation, and that was it. And it was funny though, because it was like, got here at noon, and they said noon to 3, and at 3:30, everybody was gone. Nice. And the house was cleaned up by 4:30, and everybody was gone.
No lingerers.
No,
that's nice.
No. And we took the tables and the chairs back to the rental place today, and you never know. There was a party here, other than the amount of garbage it's, you know, in the recycling bin.
Well, but there is that.
Nothing.
I told Ebo this morning that you were hosting a baby shower, and he gave me a look and asked a follow-up. I think he thought for a sec that you were expecting.
Oh, God, no.
And I said, no. He's just hosting. But then I thought, you know, Bill, like, it's a slow time of year. You know, it could be good content if you have a kid. So just keep that on your
ain't happening. No, okay. No, ain't happening. No, I'm done. My oldest daughter's in her over 40. So that's all she wrote.
And wouldn't she love a little sister or a little brother? And wouldn't we love the content on the show?
Brothers and sisters, and she's got her own kids, and
it's got enough family.
No,
okay,
that's it. No, not happening. Not happening at all. So there you go.
Ebo was very confused. Not that he doubted your ability. I mean, he has full confidence.
Yeah.
Get me
it's
wrong.
Not that I couldn't do it over there.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no.
Exactly.
I don't need any more kids. I'll tell you this. I was hoping for 2 out of 3 over the weekend, and what the Brewers did was amazing. just watching the explosion of offense. And Mizorowski was all that in a bag of chips, man. I'll tell you that. He had a fantastic day. It was great to watch. It was so much fun. And you began rooting for the scoreless and the hitless streak. You know, you were just kind of rooting for all of that. Keep going. And it drew you in. And it was just, it was a fantastic start. It was a great weekend. The fact that they had scored all those runs and really had not hit many home runs. They didn't even hit a home run until yesterday when I think it was Hoskins and Durant went yard. And the fact that, I still think they need a bat. I know people say I'm crazy. I still think they need because I got all these people are now, oh my God, do you still think they need a bat? Yeah, I do. Because it's been up until this point, it's been sporadic at best, might be the best way to put it. But I will say this, it just gave me more confidence that this team has enough in them that, yeah, they could keep pace. If they can just get back to even ground with the Cubs, I think they can keep pace with them throughout the remainder of the season. So, because I believe they have enough pitching to do so.
Speaking of the Cubs, so I haven't been watching the standings too much, but those Mariners games at Wrigley were just fiascos. All three of them, lots of runs. So I was paying attention. I got to read you this text Austin sent me last night. He said, I was rooting for the Brewers to be decent so people would want to talk baseball and I'd enjoy my job more. They are officially winning too much for me, and I do not wish that anymore. And I got that last night, and I think Cubs fans are looking at the schedule coming up. The Brewers now have 6 games between the Pirates and the Rockies. Like, they could be in a great spot. The Cubs are feeling a little pressure for the first time this season, so this gets interesting. Right,
I completely agree, and that's now. Here's the thing: don't stub your toe. Don't make all this run, this move, and then you stub your toe. Because the one thing you don't want to do is all of a sudden lose 2 out of 3 to the Pirates and 2 out of 3, after the fact to the Colorado Rockies. And because remember, the Rockies got you in Colorado. So you don't want to lose 2 out of 3 to the Rockies, 2 out of 3 to the Pirates. And all of a sudden you find yourself, 4.5, 5.5 games back of the Cubs at that point, because that would be everything you just did would then be like for naught, because the Cubs are going into St. Louis to take on the Cardinals. So the Cardinals are even fighting to stay relevant at this point. So you just hang on, for God's sakes. Don't do anything stupid at this point, because you just want to be able to hang on. So Cubs got the Cardinals coming up. Brewers have the Pirates coming up. And by the way, the Cardinals host the Cubs in a 4-game series. And then the Cubs go to Houston after that. So they play 4 against St. Louis, 3 against Houston. And after that, they come back home to face the Cleveland Guardians for 3, and then right to the Cardinals for 3 back at Wrigley before they got to go on the road to take on the Twins and then end the first half of their season with the Yankees. So they don't have an easy road by any stretch. The Brewers have a legitimate opportunity to make up some ground. But I can't believe that there's only, 4 or 5 series left before the first half of the season is done. That's the most amazing thing, is that this thing is that far advanced already. But the Brewers 3.5 games back, man, and you've got a golden opportunity sitting ahead of you to all of a sudden sit there and catch the Cubs. Yeah, be just awesome. Just awesome. Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We're off and running on a sweltering Monday, but that's okay. Relief is coming, but the storms are coming. Hey, by the way, if you're going to be out and about tonight or anywhere, for that matter, even in your home, eye to the sky. Apparently, it's supposed to get kind of nasty tonight, and we want to make sure everybody stays safe. So keep your eye to the sky. So good stuff there. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
And now for the Pella play-by-play, here's Jeff Levering.
Thanks, Gina Della from Pella. What a beautiful day to have new windows and doors installed.
Every day is beautiful because Pella installs year-round during all seasons.
And as Pella goes into another windup, it's so hard to guess that next pitch. The customizations seem endless.
And it doesn't have to be super expensive. Pella has a product line for every budget.
And if it is time for a major upgrade, rest easy by scoring no interest and no payments for up to 2 years.
Pella also provides a free in-home consultation, which includes a no-obligation quote.
That's always a great play, because working with one of Pella's design experts is such a wonderful, no-pressure get-together. I know this from experience.
With a range of affordable options and products assembled in the USA, you can get the look you want at a price you can afford.
And there's no reason to wait with this incredible deal going on.
Get no interest and no payment for up to 2 years.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply in 6/30/2025. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the Michael Show. On the air. This portion of the program brought to you by the call room. But they had a really good crowd down there on both Friday and Saturday, Thursday night too, for that matter. But a lot of people going to Summerfest, stopping in there beforehand, and then heading down to Summerfest or after the fact when it got a little bit too hot. They got indoors and got themselves a great meal, but a really good weekend down at Calderon Club. 838 Old World 3rd Street, downtown Milwaukee. Some of the best Italian food you are ever going to have. That is Calderon Club on one side, San Giorgio on the other, the Pizzeria Napolitana right across the street from the Hyatt Hotel. 838 Old World 3rd Street, downtown Milwaukee. Brewers get a win over the weekend. And when you look at the standings are 3.5 now for the Milwaukee Brewers. Now for the people that were like coming, I don't want to say coming after, but for the people that were wanting to say, do you still think they need a bat? And sometimes you can't tell attitude in a email. Some people were kind of saying, do you still think they need one? And as if to say they never believed they needed one. Others said, do you still think they're going to go after one? As if to say, I still hope they go after one, even though they did have this offensive outpour this past weekend. I'd love to hear from the people that, like, do you still feel the Brewers need a bat? Because to me,
Again, baseball is a long season. It is a season of attrition. It is a marathon, not a sprint. All the other adjectives you want to throw with it. But the one thing that I will say is all the proof is right there. You're over 150, 200 at-bats almost per player at this point. It is what it is. One series is not a season make. One weekend is not a series make. And what we've seen this season is a consistent struggle at times to come up with that clutch hit, that big hit. This team did a magnificent job over the weekend. I'm not knocking anybody, okay? But throughout this season, it's been the topic of discussion. And all I'm going to say is after a successful weekend, it doesn't make it a successful season. I still think they need to add a bat. So that's just my take. Do you feel that this team still needs to add a bat? That's it.
I think Joey Ortiz has been a lot better in the last.
Yes.
I think he had a great weekend. He's still not going to be a high level bat, but this version will play with the defense that he's playing.
Right.
I also think, and I heard J.R. Radcliffe make this point on Microbrew, his podcast that came out earlier today, like this Garrett Mitchell injury, if it's not long-term, let's say this slows him down by 3 or 4 weeks till the second half of the season, which I think it'll be more, but let's say it's just a slight delay. Well, then that gives the Brewers a little bit more time to figure out, like, then maybe Isaac Collins comes back down to earth in a month and this decision is a little bit easier. You know what I mean? Like
right.
We've talked about that final outfield spot. You can't take Isaac Collins out of the lineup right now. But if Garrett Mitchell needs another month or, if he doesn't come back at all, that gives this a little bit of time to play out. So the Brewers might be able to better kind of decide what they need to do as the trade deadline gets closer here.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I still think, me personally, I still think they do need another bat. That's just me. I still think they could use one. I know some say, well, I don't worry about it. They're going to be fine and this and that. But I'm still of the ilk of, no, I really kind of believe that they still need that one more guy. Now, where you put him, where you play him, I don't know. I don't know if you're going to make him a third baseman. I don't know if you're going to do something else. I couldn't tell you. I don't know what the thought process would be there. But you just need somebody clutch. Now, what you'd like to have is eventually that your clutch hitter becomes or emerges as, say, Christian Yelich or Jackson Chourio or William Contreras. One of those three. That's what you want. But if you're not going to get that on the consistent, you have to go out and help yourself, at least in my opinion. That's just, I still look at it as one more bat would be a nice thing. And I agree with you. Ortiz has been playing a lot, but it's funny. The day we went off on Ortiz was the next day he starts hitting the baseball. He's been hitting the baseball ever since. So, and Ronald says the same thing. I agree. They need a bat for what position? I think Mitchell's days as a Brewer are numbered. And, God, it's so bad for him to then, go sliding in head first and, bang up the shoulder and go back on the DL. But that's what Woodruff did. Woodruff was coming back and then, got hit with a 110 mile or 7 mile an hour fastball right back at him. And he ended up getting hit. And he, has the rehab assignment after that. He was so close to coming back. Garrett Mitchell, the same thing. He goes on the 10-day. Could just be a sore shoulder for the next week, and then he's back, But do we start looking at Garrett Mitchell? I mean, you hate to use the term fragile, but is Garrett Mitchell fragile? I mean, the way he plays the game is hard. But if you're going to play the game hard, you have to sustain that, the style in which you play. And he hasn't been able to consistently do that. Obviously, Blake Perkins, hopefully he'll be back sooner rather than later for a defensive backup in the center field area. But his bat was very similar to Garrett Mitchell, but they had a like to Garrett Mitchell more so than they did Blake Perkins. Even though their numbers were very similar offensively and Blake Perkins is a better defender, they were still favoring Garrett Mitchell as the guy. And I don't know, like, behind the scenes, the reason specifically as to why, but Mitchell plays great defense as well, but he's not that same level defensively as Blake Perkins was now. So I don't know what they're going to end up doing, but I know that one thing is it's a really good problem to have all this talent burgeoning and getting ready to come back. And then you're going to have to make some tough decisions before it's all said and done. And maybe this is part of what's spurring guys on is that Joey Ortiz knows if he doesn't start hitting, his days are numbered. You got guys in the outfield playing a lot better because they know that Garrett Mitchell and Blake Perkins are both on their way back. I mean, maybe it's just because of the competition, guys are starting to pick it up a little bit because they know that they're starting to look over their shoulder because they're going to make moves. At some point, they're going to make some moves. What moves they're going to be, we'll have to wait and see. Is it going to be Caleb Durbin at third base, who has not played bad? Isaac Collins in left field, he's he's played well, and he's picked it up a notch just for the fact that he knows that his days are probably numbered when Garrett Mitchell and Blake Perkins comes back, and they're going to probably move Jackson Churio over to left at that point. So he's picked it up. I mean, maybe just because they're looking over their shoulder, this team has gotten better, which, you know, they always say competition breeds success. So maybe that's it. We'll talk more about this with Tim Allen, host of the Baseball Postgame Show. Tim's going to join us coming up here in just a little bit, so don't go anywhere. This portion of the program brought to you by our good friends over there at the Water Doctors. And God knows you could use some cool water today. Cool indoor drinking water today from the Water Doctors. The Kinetico water softening system, hands down the best out there. Hands down. It is fantastic. I've swore by this thing for over 20 years now. Go to H2doctors.com, H2odoctors.com. And John and Amber Atlee, they are fantastic people. They continue to do great things in the community, but more so than anything, they not only carry, but they service, they install everything that goes along with the best water softening system you can get for your home, for you, your pets, your kids, all of it. All of it. That's 262-549-7733. That's 262-549-7733. Anywhere in the state of Wisconsin, they're going to help you out. 262-549-7733. Tim Allen, host of the Baseball Postgame Show, is next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The roar of racing is back at Road America. IndyCar, Superbikes, Vintage. The 640 acres of land in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin will shake with the roar of engines. Get your tickets now and secure spot. Camping site and corporate hospitality space is available as well. Get your season pass, individual race tickets, and all the information at roadamerica.com. That's roadamerica.com. Road America, America's national park of speed.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Yeah, I love it. We're being little woodpeckers and probably should get in the weight room. Yeah, I like homers. Yeah, I like homers a lot. So let's make no mistake about it.
Love homers. Love it. Love it. Murph talking about how they just, he calls them woodpeckers. Woodpeckers. They just keep pecking away until finally they get themselves the run that they need, and there you go. Not a bad way to go. So this portion of the program, by the way, brought to you by our friends over there at Cousins Subs. Cousins Subs, they believe in better, whether it's the pepperoni melt with the extra mayo or extra cheese, or it's just something that you prefer with a nice ice-cold shake on a day like today. Make it a Cousins Subs kind of day. Go to cousinsubs.com or just download the app. You can also get delivery or just go and get their pickup. But nevertheless, Cousins Subs, tremendous people, tremendous place. That is our friends over there at Cousins Subs. And man, oh man, I tell you this, what a weekend it was for the Brewers in the sense that they did exactly what they needed to do. Joining us now on the hotline, Tim Allen, host of the Baseball Postgame Show in Milwaukee, joining us to talk a little Brewers success. And they're only 3.5 games back, Tim. We've been dreaming about this, and lo and behold, next thing you know, all of a sudden they're creeping up into the back rearview mirror of the Cubs.
And 8 over 500, Bill.
Yep.
I mean, you want to hang out around 10 over, so they're getting there a little bit. They've 22 and 10 in their last 32, and the offense starting to pick things up a little bit. Lately, I've been just talking about what they have in terms of the playoffs, just caliber-wise. Are they a playoff caliber starting rotation? I think you can check that box.
Yeah,
a great rotation. The bullpen, do they have, despite yesterday getting chipped away at the entire second half of the game, that bullpen is dynamite. Uribe and Koenig and McGill at the back end. You got the two lefties in there, Hall and Ashby. But I think that's a playoff caliber bullpen. Playoff caliber defense. We can check both those boxes. Well, what's left? You have the managing and the coaching. Sure. That's already proven to be playoff caliber. Now it's the offense, and the offense, and make no mistake, is significant to point out, they weren't good early. I mean, let's not forget that. But they're playing more like I thought they would, and I'm not going to preach, I was right, but the lion's share of improvement had to come from these guys that they have. I know a lot of Brewer fans, including myself, still, even though the offense has produced lately for a month or so, I still want to bat at the deadline. I still don't be content with what they've got here. But my thought was at the beginning of the year, Bill, was that this team could get you in trouble anywhere in the lineup. And that means at the bottom, whether that's Turang down there, we all thought maybe Turang was going to be the leadoff guy. I think Frelick has taken that over. But, you get these guys on, and it's a distraction because they can all run. They're little, as Murph calls them, and you were just alluding to, woodpeckers. They'll peck away at you, and pecking away at the other guys, part of that is your base running. And so you get a Caleb Durbin on. All right, what's Joey going to do? You going to bunt him over? You going to hit and run? Is he going to straight steal? What do you got going here? That's what I thought this offense could be. And home runs, finally, yeah, he said the same thing Council said a couple of years ago when people got on him. He said, well, what do you think? I think Council's comment was, you think homers are a bad thing? Well, of course not. Everybody likes home runs. We all know that. I personally, Bill, like batting average and on base better.
I do too. I mean, I 100% agree with you. I've said all along, when you talk about getting a bat, do you want a bat that's going to give you 25 to 35 home runs and hit 230, 240, or do you want somebody that's going to hit 275, get on base, and drive in guys that are already on base? And I would take the guy that's going to get on base more often than not, because he's either going to score or he's going to drive in runs. The home run hitters, they tend to one strike out a lot. And look, it's not to say you can't do both. I mean, if you can find somebody out there that hits 275 and hits you 30 bombs, take it in a heartbeat. But you might have to go one way or the other. I just want to see somebody that's going to make consistent contact and be more of a consistent hitter.
Yep. Work that pitch count up. That's the other thing. When you're a little gnat, when you're a little woodpecker, man, you work that pitch count up, keep fouling, keep fighting, keep going, keep grinding. I mean, how many against Joe Ryan on Friday night? That's a perfect example. They worked that dude's pitch count up quite a bit. They frustrated him. He was not pleased. He took it out on a few bad calls, but he was frustrated in that, Frelick had a 9-pitch at bat. I think Durbin and possibly even Ortiz, they had an 8-pitch at bat, 9-pitch at bat, and 11-pitch at bat in that game early against Ryan. Those little gnats. Now, you mentioned hits 30 bombs and knocks in 100. Guess what? That's Christian Yelich.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing now. That's where he's at. He's a 3,100 guy. Now, is that over the top, one of the superstars of baseball, those numbers? Well, maybe not. But his batting average now at right around 260, bottomed out a month ago at 184-ish. And so, this guy, prorate the numbers, we're not quite to the halfway mark. He's been outstanding.
Would you look at a guy? There's a couple of guys, Eugenio Suarez, with over with the Arizona Diamondbacks. There's some talks about possibly a guy like him could possibly become available. Would you look in that direction? A third baseman that's got some pop that maybe is looking to get out of that situation in Arizona. Would you go and say, okay, let's go find that third baseman?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You imagine always wanting to make your team a little bit better. And Ryan McMahon's name has been thrown out there as well. And I think potentially there may have already been some talks. Who knows? We never really know. But could you imagine a left-handed third baseman to platoon with Durbin? Durbin's a little mighty might, man. Mm-hmm. He's a go-getter and he's a winner. And I believe when Pat Murphy believes in a player, he's proven that. When Murph says, hey, Bryce Durant, we haven't seen anything yet. He's going to take a quantum leap. And he did. He's saying the same thing about Durbin. He loves the way he plays. Just look out. He said the same thing about Sal Frelick. He's my favorite player on the team right now.
Right.
And I think will be for years to come. That dude is just a baseball rat. Anything it takes, go get it for Sal. But you believe in Murph. So I'm not saying push Durbin all the way to the bench, but Could you imagine a platoon of McMahon and Durbin, righty-lefty, over there at third base? That'd be okay.
So you talked about the back end of the bullpen and McGill being the closer. Do you think Uribe eventually works himself into that? He has been so good. I mean, I know maybe you don't want to mess with it, but Uribe's been so good as kind of that setup guy.
Oh, he will be at some point, Bill. We all know it. He's going to be the closer for this team. Now, that being said, with McGill, I mean, you can't. 16 for 18 and save chances for McGill. He's pacing, 32, 33 saves for the season. Yeah. Does it get a little rocky? Of course it does. It got really rocky with Devin Williams. It got frustratingly rocky with Josh Hader at times, where he'd hit a man and then he'd walk a man and then strike 3 out. Devin Williams constantly, bases loaded, throwing a bunch of pitches. He's had 29 pitches now. He's fighting his tail off. We went through that with those guys as well. I mean, there's very few that Mariano Rivera's that just come in and never really, you're not nervous about it. McGill, he's got that hammer knuckle curve and can gas up to 100 or plus. You got to sit with them when they blow saves and punches. Bill, Doug Melvin taught me that you don't look at a closer until they blow saves in bunches, and that just hasn't happened for McGill yet.
What do you do when they want to bring up Brandon Woodruff? Because Woodruff is going to be probably the next on the docket to find time in the bigs.
Great question, and a good problem to have. I mean, let's just say it's a conventional 5-man rotation. One goes in, one comes out. I mean, you got to choose between Chad Patrick, Quinn Priester, Jose Quintana, Freddie Peralta, and Jacob Mizorowski.
Right.
How do you do that? How do you make that decision? Well, as you know, a lot of those types of questions are answered by themselves. They work themselves out.
Yeah.
If it comes to the point where it didn't, I'm not paid enough to make that decision because I wouldn't want to make that decision. Maybe it's a 6-man. I don't know if you want to take Freddie off his normal regimen or Quintana. Those are the 2 guys you're going to pitch, especially when we get midseason here and beyond. You're pitching every 5 days. That's that. And I would consult with these guys. Do you want to play with a 6-man? It's tough to not let Woody or not give Woody that opportunity.
Right.
It's just a tough dilemma.
What would you, so if somebody say moves out of the bullpen, because you would assume that if you have a starter that is going to be moved, you would send them to middle relief. To me, is that Strisny? Would he be the next guy out? He has not necessarily thrown well, and when he has, even though some of the numbers don't show it, there's times he's come in with runners on and has not been able to stop the bleeding at that point. He's had a couple of bad. Would he be the next guy out, or is there somebody else in that rotation in the bullpen? And you say they would be, because to me, you bring up Woody. Woody would then displace somebody either in the bullpen or in the starting rotation. Maybe you put him in the bullpen and let him get his feet under him. But then when they move him around, somebody in that bullpen is probably going to go.
You could do that. There's Grant Anderson, who was already sent down once and brought back. Right. So there's an option, and he's been really, really good too. But and Rob might be one, and they're full of options, right? There's guys, DL Hall's an option sort of player too that you could maybe send out. Rob might be the guy just because you do have the other lefties out there in Ashby and Hall, and I don't know if this organization will send Ashby down. They love him, and they want him to continue. He's still in a grand scheme working his way back from shoulder. I hate to make excuses for Ashby, but I mean, he's got great stuff. He throws upper 90s, and it's just they appear to love him. I'd be surprised if it were for Ashby, but yeah, Woody in the bullpen, that's an opportunity too. You can't rule this out, but again, tough and difficult. But a good one, a good problem to have.
Before I let you go, you've got obviously Garrett Mitchell has on a rehab assignment, tears up the shoulder a little bit, goes on the 10-day DL. You hope that that he's going to be okay. That's just a precaution and just to make sure the soreness is gone and all that kind of stuff. You hope that's going to be okay. But him and Blake Perkins are going to be on their way back too very soon. You would assume maybe end of the month or the beginning of July or maybe just after the All-Star break, but they're going to be knocking on the door.
Well, and you say the first one out the door is Daz Cameron. Everyone would assume,
right,
if and when one of those guys get back. And Mitchell, it's just, wow. Snake bitten. Did he break a mirror? Did he see a black cat? Did he, what happened? Walk under a ladder? I mean, but we also have to keep in mind, guys, and fans my age, we can remember Molitor early on in his career. That was the thing with him. I remember saying it at the time, man, if he could just stay healthy, he's going to be one whale of a player. He finally remedied that and then got some consistency in terms of games played. But, sometimes it's just bad luck. And for Garrett Mitchell, that's that. But now the other one, Brock Wilken, one of the top prospects in the Brewers organization, that knee injury, I still haven't read an update on that. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but there's more imaging to come. He hurt his knee celebrating the first half championship. And it's a freak injury, a celebration. We saw that in the World Baseball Classic, I believe, with one of the players.
Right.
But, we'll see. But sometimes in terms of Mitch, it's just bad luck.
Yep, no doubt. Good stuff as always, Tim. Great to talk to you, and you and I will chat more down the road, okay?
Let's do it, Bill. Thanks.
Thanks, bud. Talk to you soon. Tim Allen, host of the Baseball Postgame Show in Milwaukee. You can find him there. Always appreciate his time, and thanks for joining us on the program. Going to go ahead and take a quick break. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels here. Your two wheels revved up because here it comes. The Big River Rally where the river meets the road. It rolls into La Crosse on June 27th and 28th. Join us for a weekend packed with action. Stunt shows, a killer bike show, food trucks, all kinds of awesome vendors. Friday, Rod's River Run with Texas Hippie Coalition lighting up the stage that night. Then Saturday is the Big River Rally ride. Miles and miles of pure freedom. Then Saturday night, Drowning Pool rocks the house. Grab your tickets right now. BigRiverRally.com. That's BigRiverRally.com, and I'll see you there.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Gotta say thanks to Joe Martino, Julie, the entire staff at Point Brewing. They made it a great weekend for us. I told you last week, they took some root beer bottles, and my son and his wife, they were expecting, and we had the baby shower here this weekend. And when we pulled the bottles out of the case that had not only the invitation for the baby shower on it, but their picture, their wedding picture, and all that kind of stuff that said they were expecting, Joe, they did a great job. And I wanted to say thanks personally to all of our friends at Point Brewing, because they do so many cool things, not only in the state, and they support so many great causes, but also it's just personal touches like that. And they can do that for a lot of different things. If you call them up, you can get some specialty stuff made. So it's always cool when you can get something like that to kind of personalize an event. And that was really, really cool. Really, really special. Whether it's Point Brewing, the Drop Dead Blonde, the Lakeside Pale Ale that's out right now, obviously celebrating summer, the Amber Lager and all of that, or you just look at some of the things they do, like with the root beers, the cream sodas, and all of that. There's a lot of reasons to stay right here in our own backyard, and that is our friends at Stevens Point. Point Brewing. Brewing excellence since 1857. Great to have Tim Allen, host of the Baseball Postgame Show, on the program. He's always awesome, and good to talk to him. And perspective-wise, he's right there with us. So I feel good about that. Sometimes when I think about things, I'm kind of like, well, maybe I'll check with Tim. Tim's like the baseball aficionado. Am I, he can be like your rudder, where you can say, okay, maybe my ship is starting to move to the left or the right too far. But no, he's right there with us. He's like, nope, they still need a bat. Still got to go out and get somebody. So we're all right there. And the Brewers come back home, taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates now in a 3-game series, and the Colorado Rockies come to town. And hopefully with the Brewers, the remaining Brewers schedule, they can gain themselves another game, maybe 2. God, can you imagine going into the All-Star break only about a game back or tied with the Cubs at that point? I mean, that would be, for where they were to where they are and everything that they've done. And, you kind of, I said at one point, Grant, how much does it take it out of you to start winning games and you're finally on track, but you can't gain any ground? Does that then start to mess with your head? Like, are we ever going to, and then you get a weekend like you just had where you gained a couple of games over the weekend. And you're like, wait a minute. Maybe there is something to all of this. And then instead of being 6.5 back, you're 3.5 back, and you're sitting in a really, really good spot. And the schedule has now set it up for you. You know what I mean? It's got to make you feel good in that clubhouse.
Yeah, a little validation. And I think up until this point, the Brewers have had enough issues of their own to not be super concerned with looking outside of their own 4 walls. But now that their pitching has been great throughout, but their offense, their bullpen, everything's just kind of leveled out. So to gain a couple games, absolutely. And I think this team is a perfect team to try to play spoiler. You know what I mean? Like, if they can just stay and apply some pressure to the Cubs, I think this is the type of team that's like, yeah, let's go ruin this great season that they're having. Let's try to, be a pain in their butt for the final couple months of the season. I think that fits this team really well. Right.
No doubt. So we got more to get to. We got more Brewers talk to get to. Obviously, you've got the OKC Thunder that are now the NBA champs. I'm not going to take anything away from OKC. I thought they would win the series from the beginning. They ended up winning the series the way it happened with Tyrese Hallebertton going down. It's a sad thing to see. I don't disagree with you. But I still thought they were going to win that game, even though Hallebertton came out and was playing pretty well at that point. It also goes back to when I said, I don't think if you don't have to play him in Game 6, I wouldn't. And they did, and they won big. But you wonder how much wear and tear, had he rested that leg, how much wear and tear did he put on that leg in Game 6 that ultimately we saw this happen in Game 7. So we'll get into that discussion coming back as well. Don't go anywhere.
God, we got a lot more to go. Off to a fast start on a fun Monday. Fun Monday. Hot Monday, but fun Monday. I love it. Love it. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Milwaukee Brewers capped off their weekend in Minnesota with a sweep of the Twins, winning 9-8 as Rhys Hoskins homered, doubled, and drove in 2 runs. Bryce Terang had a 3-run shot, and Caleb Durbin had 3 hits, and also saw them using 8 pitchers, with Trevor McGill getting the save at the end. Here's more from manager Pat Murphy.
No, I mean, I felt like, McGill, there was good performances on the mound. Priester's stuff wasn't moving the way we're concerned. His stuff wasn't moving the way it has in the past, and that's what led to an early exit. It was quite a bit different than what had been. We don't know if it was the wind, game conditions, whatever it might have been, but so early exit, and then we got some good performances right away.
Both teams combined for 35 hits and used 14 pitchers, but the Brewers would get the W, moving them a season-high 8 games over 500 at 43-35 on the year. The Brewers now return home. They'll take on Pittsburgh starting at American Family Field tonight. Righty Chad Patrick will take the mound. He has a record of 3-7 with a 3.5 ERA. Then Wednesday, to cap off the series against the Pirates, it'll be Paul Skeens versus Jacob Mizorowski.
For nearly 40 years, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
All eyes around Giannis Antetokounmpo with the Milwaukee Bucks, but their guard Pat Connaughton exercised his $9.4 million player option for the 25-26 season. And finally, the Green Bay Packers are in off-season mode. They'll get back into action for training camp on July 23rd. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
I first want to congratulate Mark Dagnall, one of the great young coaches in all of professional sports, and his team. The way this season started and everything, they may have had those buses painted up back in December. They'll have a great parade. They have great fans. This was a great series. I'm so proud of our players. I'm so proud of our organization. Our fans showed up big time tonight. It was really moving. What happened with Tyrese is just all of our hearts dropped, but he will be back. I believe he'll make a full recovery. So he authored one of the great individual playoff runs in the history of the NBA.
Those are the words of Rick Carlisle. The new NBA champions are the Oklahoma City Thunder. What a night last night. Welcome back. The Bill Michaels Show. Brewers over the weekend getting the sweep of the Twins. Here comes 2 teams. You don't take them lightly, but you should win those series. With the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Colorado Rockies coming to town as we wake up today, the Brewers are only 3.5 games back in the rearview mirror right now of the Chicago Cubs, as the Brewers have continually put pressure on the Cubs ever since they started winning. Go back to the walk-off grand slam that Yelly hit, and ever since then, this team has played winning baseball. And the Brewers, after kind of digging themselves a hole early, have been able to continually battle, and they find themselves grinding away and chipping away at that Cubs lead, and they find themselves in second place right now, and just 3.5 games behind the Cubs. In the meantime, like I said, OKC, they're champions. Tyrese Hallebertton goes down with the Achilles injury, which we all saw in gruesome fashion yet again. We've seen it now with numerous players. We saw it with KD. We saw it with Aaron Rodgers. We saw it with who else was the other one that we saw? It was actually at Lambeau, as a matter of fact. The quarterback at the time of the Minnesota Vikings. God, his name escapes me.
Kirk Cousins.
Thank you very much. I knew it was a K, and I kept thinking Kelly, and I knew that wasn't right. Anyway, we saw it with Kirk Cousins. You see when you get a calf injury and things like this happen, that next thing you know, the Achilles can be the next thing to go if you don't allow those things to fully rest. So that is another, another issue, I guess, as the NBA, because we saw 11 of them this year, 11 blown Achilles this year in the NBA. I guess they talk about 3 points, the 3-point shooting, and the dribble hard and then drive and the step back jumpers, and it's putting so much strain on some of these muscles, obviously, and some of these tendons that's the reason they're snapping. So something that I guess you got to train for in some way, shape, or form. I don't know, but it was tough to watch. Tyrese, as much as I dislike Hallebertton because of the incident with Giannis, I give him all the respect in the world. He basically threw the Pacers on his back and said, here we go. I just felt in game 6, I would not have played him. I would have sat him. And if you needed him, I would have then played him. Otherwise, I would have left him out as long as I possibly could, because every minute of every day that he wasn't playing, that thing was healing. And they may have done more damage to their season than good by playing him in game 6. Now, some will say, well, they wouldn't have won game 6 without him. They blew him out. That was the game in which Oklahoma City looked lethargic. They looked out of it. They looked like they already won before they even got on the floor. And they just looked shell-shocked. I thought they could have won without Hallebertton. And that would have been the perfect excuse to say, look, he would have got an extra. If you don't play him in that game, it would have been an extra 3-4 days of rest. So it would have been a total of 5 or 6 days, a whole week before he would have had to have even tried to compete again. He might have been fresher. And that game 6 that he had might have been that game that he might have had in game 7. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. But nevertheless, OKC is now the champion without a doubt. So kudos to them.
Some of these Achilles tears in the postseason, you were mentioning calves and players that we've seen. Typically that happens with older guys. Like Kevin Durant was older. Right. Tatum and Halliburton are in.
Tatum was the other one, yes.
They're in the prime. I mean, you could argue Halliburton's not even reached his prime yet. You typically don't see that with guys on this side of 30. And I know everyone's going to spend the next 2 weeks on their podcast and their show talking about why, and no one will ever figure anything out. Right. But it has been a really weird postseason in that regard. Dame is older, right? It sucks, but it's not like what happened to Dame is completely shocking.
Right.
No, Tatum and Hallebertton a little different.
I agree. It was Matt says, why do you think Hallebertton was down crying and screaming on the floor when others have had it snap and just simply walked off the field? Look, first of all, I don't know what kind of different levels of pain sustainability people have. So I'm not going to judge. The second thing is there's a difference in going down like Rodgers did in 76 seconds into your season as opposed to game 7 of the NBA title. It was the emotion of he knew it. He was done.
And his shot was going in. He was off to an awesome start.
And he felt it. He felt like he was going to be the difference maker in that game. And he knew everything at that point. That injury, not only was he not going to be able to play, he wasn't going to be able to help his team with the feel that he had for the game already, and the fact that it was going to suck the air out of that room, out of the Pacers room. And it kind of did. I think the Pacers played on the best they could, and to get themselves a 1-point lead going into half after hitting the step back jumper, I thought was fantastic. But you could just tell at some point OKC was going to make that run. Being at home, you knew they were going to make that run. It was whether or not Indiana was going to be able to come back and sustain it, and they weren't able to. And so ultimately, and without Hallebertton, they weren't able to. So I am not taking anything away from OKC. They had SGA, the best player in the league, the MVP. They win a championship. I said they were the best team all along. That has proven out to be completely true. And injury aside, we have seen how many times have we seen a team lose 1 or 2 or 3 guys due to injury down the stretch, and you say, well, woulda, coulda, shoulda. But that's, last year, the best team in football for most of the season was the Detroit Lions until they just ran out of bodies. So you can't say, well, Detroit would have won their first championship had it not been for. Maybe they would have. They were certainly on that trajectory. But you don't take anything away from Philadelphia because Detroit had a bunch of bodies that ended up on the IR. So it's just like, look, Tyrese Hallebertton, kudos to a tremendous season. The problem for Indiana now is he won't be back until March at least of next year. He's out for basically next season. And that's the most painful thing about it. Not only do you lose him for game 7, but for a run that you went out, because now you're salivating. You can't wait to get back. You want to go rest, and you can't wait to get back in the gym. You can't wait to get some extra pieces, and you can't wait to just continue to fulfill what it is you believe to be your dream. You want to be able to get back at it, and you're going to do it without Hallebertton next year. He is not going to be a part of your team next year. He'll be there. He'll be rehabbing. You'll see him, but it is what it is, because he's not going to be back until at least March.
Well, and it creates this really awkward spot. And a lot of the shows last night and today have been talking about this, which is unfortunate for the Thunder because it should be their moment. Right. But it's kind of impossible to talk about last night's game and what it means moving forward without asking, like, who's the best team in the East next year? Celtics don't have Tatum. Right. The Bucks are down a massive piece, and they're kind of a two-man team already. And now the Pacers are without the player who, like, I think Siakam's the best pound-for-pound player on that team, but Hallebertton is the straw that stirs the drink. He makes that whole thing work.
I agree with you.
So who's going to win the East next year? Maybe Justin Garcia will have an opinion on this next hour. I don't even know where to start next year with those three players out.
New York, just to see what New York does in the offseason, because they're going to add a piece. They still got to find a coach. That's been a mess.
Yeah, that's a big part of it is like, we'd say the Knicks, but are they going to trade Karl Anthony Towns? Who's going to be their coach? We just don't know.
And we don't know what they're going to do in Boston, because there's already talk about them breaking up that group because of the amount of money being spent. So you could see ascension through attrition. I still think, and I know this is a crazy thought, I still think the Bucks are going to be one of those teams to contend. If Giannis stays healthy, a couple of tweaks, I still think the Bucks are going to be a team to contend with. The Cavs have to, and Doug brought this up. He said, well, what about the Cavs? The Cavs got to prove to me that they're not a regular season team. Because the Cavs went down, they went quiet into that good night in the postseason after doing everything they did in the regular season. And I agree with you. The Cavs are a hell of a team. Watching what the Cavs did to the Bucks here at the Fiserv when I was at that game, they ran them out of the gym. They just flat out hustled them, outbeat them in every aspect of that game. They outshot them. They made the Bucks look old and slow and tired. But they didn't do anything in the postseason. So to me, I think the Knicks right now would be your top team, then the Cavs, then the Bucks. You still got a good team in Indiana. So Indiana could still be that pesky team that everybody's going to have to contend with, because they still went toe-to-toe with OKC, even though they just ran out of gas. But I still think Indiana is going to be there. But I think if the Bucks just get a couple of pieces, no, you don't have to get any kind of, you don't go out and get a big three or anything like that. You don't need that. What you need is just another guy. Or the big thing that I saw in this series, really, in what happened with Indiana against the Bucks and everything, what I saw was defense wins you championships, flat out. Look at the amount of points off of turnovers. Defense wins you. And the Bucks, when they played defense and they got transition basketball going last year, they were a really good basketball team. When they played a lot of half court and a lot of sets and a lot of the garbage at the other end of the floor, they weren't that good. And they flat out couldn't keep up against a team like Indiana, who played much, much, much better defense than you did. Cleveland played much better defense than you did. New York played much better defense than you did. And they couldn't compete. So that, to me, is what the Bucks need. They need some dogs. They get a couple of dogs around Giannis, I think you're going to be okay. That's just my thought.
Well, and that's, you mentioned the Bucks having Giannis. I think he's the best player in the East. And
right now, yeah.
Know that it's close, which means a lot. The problem is you have this 82-game regular season to navigate and get to the point in the playoffs where you can say, all right, now we have the best guy. There's a long road to drive before you get to that spot.
Right.
You have to deal with, injuries and attrition and rest and all those things. And that's, I think, still my concern about the Bucks. But the East is as wide open as it's ever been. We were complaining about how much better the West was than the East before Dame, Tatum, and Hallebertton got hurt.
Right.
And now that's only become more the case in the last couple of weeks.
Yep, no doubt. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. That's the phone number. If you want to text us, 608-321-1670, 608-321-1670. You can watch us, subscribe to us. Please subscribe to us over on YouTube. We beg beg you, subscribe to us, because you can either watch us or swipe us or whatever, or catch up with the show at a later date. Go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show, youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. You can find us on Twitter, on X, at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. You can find Grant at Wisco Grant. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, the Bill Michaels Show. We're on the Twitch app, the Kick app, the LinkedIn app as well. You can email the program, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. The website, simply thebillmichaels.com. The app, our flagship station out of Madison, Wisconsin, WOZN, the Zone Madison. You can take us anywhere and everywhere and listen to us. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts as well. And don't forget, we're a TV show in Milwaukee on My24 in Milwaukee, My24 TV on Saturday nights, 8 o'clock Central Time. That's where you can find us. Randy says a chance Hallebertton won't even come back at all next season. Depends on what their season's like. I agree with you. But if they're there and they're efforting towards the postseason and they look like they're legit and they just need that one more piece, then Hallebertton may come back. Remember, I mean, I don't know if nobody's Kobe, but remember Kobe came back in 8 months, 9 months or something like that? It's not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, they're talking about Dame coming back by January. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It just depends on where your season's at, whether or not you bring it. You don't want to rush it, but you'd like to be able to get them back. At the very least, play a little bit, then get some rest, another offseason, and then you come back strong, ready to go with all the rust knocked off in the following season in 2026, 2027. But it would not surprise me if Hallebertton, especially as young as he is, comes back by, say, March.
That's the thing when we're talking about Tatum and how these guys are young. They're in their prime. And the nice thing that the Pacers have going for them is that team is deep as hell, right? They were playing 9 or 10 players in some of these games. So again, when you're trying to navigate that long 82-game regular season, the Pacers have a luxury that a lot of teams don't. It's like, okay, we can get by. We have plenty of bodies and we can run the floor and do our thing. It's just, when you get into a playoff series and you play a team 7 times or 6 times in 2 weeks, you obviously need your star. Yeah. And I think the Pacers are probably better set up to navigate that regular season than the Bucks. I don't know about the Celtics because they might trade some guys away. We'll have to see.
877-867-1670. Aaron says, going to the Brewers side of things, when we had Tim Allen, host of the baseball postgame show, on just a little while ago, he said, hey, Bill, you and Tim were both right when it comes to the Brewers needing to add a bat. It's easy to fall into a trap right now that they're putting up some big numbers. The trap is forgetting all of the poor performances that this offense has had. Joey Ortiz, Caleb Durbin, Isaac Collins are all contributing right now, but if anybody thinks that's going to continue, the Brewers are going to ride that to a World Series. You're fooling yourselves. Besides them, you've got Yelich and Hoskins, both tend to be streaky hitters. Sal, Cherio, and Turang, you kind of know what to expect out of them. The point is, any Major League Baseball offense can get hot. The great offenses sustain a hot streak all season long. The good offenses sustain it more often than not. The average or bad offenses get hot once or twice in a while. I fear that's the category right now for the Brewers. Still give me 2 at-bats. 2 bats, he says. All that being said, terrific weekend. Enjoy the baseball. Love it. I agree. 100% agree. I get at least one, if not 2. The problem is, where are you going to put them? Who you moving? We sat down and started to do this a little while ago with Tim. It's like, who you moving? Because let's just go through this. You're not moving Frelick. You're not moving Cherio. You're not moving Yelich. You're not moving Contreras. You're not moving Turang. Could you maybe upgrade at first base? Or put a platoon situation over there where you still have power and average? Maybe. Left field, Isaac Collins, Caleb Durbin over at third, and shortstop at Joey Ortiz. Now, which means you'd have to either find a third baseman, shortstop, or second baseman to come in to mix and match that offense, to mix and match around that infield. But everything's on the left side. So when you get Garrett Mitchell and Blake Perkins back, that's going to take over the Isaac Collins and left field portion of things. Because I would assume Cheerio is going to move over. Garrett Mitchell, Blake Perkins, they roam center field, and there you go. And you're still going to have your DH in Christian Yelich. That leaves you over at either third base or shortstop or second, because you can move Bryce Turang to short if you pick up a second baseman. And then Joey Ortiz becomes your odd man out. Or if you say pick up a third baseman that's going to give you power and average, or both, then you move Caleb Durbin, obviously. But I think, as we know, the trade deadline begins to approach, you're not going to be going for arms because you believe you have arms. We all think that, right? Especially with, the arms that are on the come. But you kind of think, what you're missing right now is that one clutch bat. That's kind of where you're at. And that's the reason I go back to there. I mean, there's been some talk over in Arizona that you could possibly, I mean, their third baseman right now, who is Eugenio Suarez. That's a guy that could be on the out. You could be looking at picking up a guy like Suarez right now. So now he's obviously an older player. There's some others that could possibly be out there that you might want to grab, but those were at least some of the names being bantered around when it comes to the trade market, the MLB trade market. But it depends on what I think I will say this, the obvious is not obvious. And by saying that, what I mean is when you start to look at some of these players that could be traded, chances are they don't get traded.
Typically, that's how it goes.
It's usually some name that you're like, oh, okay. And then you wait and see what happens. The good news is that the Brewers have been pretty good at finding somebody that you go, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden they're contributing, where they're just like, wow, okay, didn't see that coming. And you're most of the time right. So that's why I'm thinking for as much as we're going to discuss who they may or may not get, chances are they're going to get somebody who were like, oh, this isn't impressive, but we'll see what happens. And then they come into the system. And traditionally, the Brewers have been able to get something out of some of these guys when they've needed it most. But the Brewers are looking for a couple of things. They're not looking for rentals. They're looking for controllable people for at least the next couple of years that they can either hang on to, renegotiate a contract with, or kind of the wait and see, prove it here in Milwaukee before you go off to greener pastures type of things. And they like the controllable contract for a lesser player that doesn't cost them nearly as much. That's the parameter for the way the Brewers usually deal, which is why some of the names that are out there, you kind of take off the market for the Brewers because the Brewers don't traditionally go in that direction. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Stay with us because we got a lot more coming up. Like we said, Justin Garcia going to come up in the next hour. We'll talk with him. He does the pre and the post for the Bucks. We'll kind of put a cap on this season and discuss a little bit with what happened last night, and then obviously the Bucks moving forward. Stick around today. Got Brewers baseball on the tube, and you can go out and get yourself a fresh the chef salad over there at Curly's. I know they've got a lot of great food, but Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill, they've got a chef salad that is absolutely fantastic. That actually sounds really good today. And by the way, let me say this. If you are somebody that is serving a salad, I'm not going to say where. Kristen and I went out the other night, and I couldn't wait. I was just going to get a caprese salad, right? The tomato, the basil. I was going to get some of the mozzarella on it, and then on a fresh thing of lettuce.
That's what I made last night, by the way.
Really?
Great minds think alike. Oh, it was delicious.
Mine was delicious, but it was warm. When you go to a restaurant, you're trying to get a salad. You can't. I know it's tough to keep things cold right now, but man, you can't serve a salad warm. I couldn't wait, and it tasted so good, but it was warm. It was like there was no refreshment there to it at all. It was just
you got to chill the plate. I mean, I don't run a restaurant. I put the plates in the fridge for 20 minutes before serving to myself. I was serving myself
everything. You got to do it. So go to Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill. They have got an incredible chef salad there. Fantastic. They got wings tonight. They got wings, pound a pint, smash burgers tonight, all that kind of good stuff. Plus, they got the Brewers on the tube. They've got pizzas, you name it. Crab Rangoon rolls, by the way. They've got those. But Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill, fantastic place. Maybe if you get lucky, I don't want to say any severe weather, but you sit out on the deck as the wind starts to blow and the clouds start to roll in. You watch that rain come across because you're under the deck. You watch the Brewers game and you watch the storm. Man, it's just a great night. Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill right there at Lakeview Boulevard in Pewaukee. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
And now for the Pella play-by-play, here's Jeff Levering.
Thanks, Gina Della from Pella. What a beautiful day to have new windows and doors installed.
Every day is beautiful because Pella installs year-round during all seasons.
And as Pella goes into another windup, it's so hard to guess that next pitch. The customizations seem endless.
And it doesn't have to be super expensive. Pella has a product line for every budget.
And if it is time for a major upgrade, rest easy by scoring no interest and no payments for up to 2 years.
Pella also provides provides a free in-home consultation, which includes a no-obligation quote.
That's always a great play because working with one of Pella's design experts is such a wonderful, no-pressure get-together. I know this from experience.
With a range of affordable options and products assembled in the USA, you can get the look you want at a price you can afford.
And there's no reason to wait with this incredible deal going on.
Get no interest and no payment for up to 2 years.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. 6/30/2025.
The Big River Rally coming to La Crosse, Wisconsin, June 27th and 28th. Don't miss the excitement on the main stage Friday night. It's Texas Hippie Coalition. And Saturday night Drowning Pool. Tickets are on sale now. Want more? Follow Big River Rally on social or go to BigRiverRally.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome in. They have a lot going on. Stenny, second to National Walker's Point. The original in Milwaukee, then on Watertown Road in Pewaukee. They run shuttles to the Brewers games. And down at second to National, Walker's Point this weekend, they're going to be running shuttles to Summerfest. So let them do the driving. Stop down, get one of the award-winning Bloody Marys, some of those awesome wings, and the Bill Michaels garlic cheese bread, smash burgers, whatever it happens to be, and let them do the driving. It is fantastic. And Stenny's building a new location in Mequon, as a matter of fact.
So get ready for that up there in the Mequon area. Ooh, can't wait for that to happen. I'll be hitting all 3 of them, depending on at what time. Maybe all 3 in one day. Who knows? But Stenny's absolutely fantastic people over there and been doing it a long, long time. And they've been doing it right. And like I said, second to National, Walker's Point, the main one, the kind of like the Cheers of Milwaukee. Then there's the new one, Watertown Road in Pewaukee, and the new one coming on Donjas Bay Road, and that is going to be in Mequon. Stenny's, as they say, you should be here. Brewers, this is, I got a couple of emails, but I did get one here going back to the Hallebertton thing, when I was talking about that before. Eric in Green Bay says, well, you don't like Hallebertton because of his dad, which is true. I don't like the Hallebertton either because he was a yapper. He was just a lot of trash talking, and that's the way that team kind of plays, okay? They didn't do it as much in the finals because they knew they were in a mighty tug of war. But when they got up on the Bucks, there was a lot of yapping going on, a lot of sniping going on back and forth, okay? And Eric says he had to play game 6. It was do or die. He didn't have to. They blew him out. If Hallebertton doesn't play in game 6, Grant, do you think if Hallebertton doesn't play in game 6, Indiana still wins that game?
Man, it felt like it.
It felt like they would have walked over them, regardless. He had a good game.
Like he did. It felt like the Thunder gave up quick in that one, knowing that, okay, well, we have game 7 at our place, which is dumb. Like like if a Steph Curry, Kevin Durant team wants to do that, I still wouldn't like it, but they can.
Right.
Yeah, I think they would have won without Hallebertton.
I do too. It looked like they just rolled the basketballs out and expected to win, or they just thought, if we don't win here, we'll win at home. But they were already painting the buses for today's celebration in OKC. They had already planned on this team winning. Everybody knew that this was the better team coming in to the postseason and that they should be the victors when it comes to the championship. I didn't think that Hallebertton, what I said was, if you needed Hallebertton, say it was a tight game, third quarter, and it looked like you needed a spark of energy, then you play him. Or if you're down, and you feel things starting to slip, you bring him in. But I didn't think you needed to start him and play him the way they did. They took that chance, and that chance backfired on them. So to say it was a do or die game, I agree with you. But to me, I wouldn't have played him until I absolutely needed him, and they didn't need him in that game, in my opinion.
It's a little tricky. It's a little tricky to do that. I completely and totally get what you're saying. What I don't like is NBA basketball people getting on their high horse, like, see, told you he was hurt, or see, this is why players don't play through injury. Hey, I still we think there's a calf connection in the Achilles. Who knows? If he was perfectly healthy, that might have happened. We saw that with Tatum. I thought was perfectly healthy. It's the NBA Finals. Right. So I am never going to feel bad about wanting players to play, and the players should feel like they should want to play and do everything possible too.
We are seeing now, and what is starting to be, because I saw that, what is the sports doctor that tweets? I saw this last night where he said what they do is when they work a calf injury, they work that muscle, and the calf muscle develops faster and further than the Achilles does. There is a correlation now that they can see that when you have a calf injury, there is a strain on the Achilles. And then when you work back the calf muscle to get the calf muscle ready to go, that the Achilles or whatever tendon or whatever that is doesn't develop or recover as quick. Therefore, you still need more time to make sure that leg, the lower leg, is fully recovered. So anyway, long story short, we've seen 4 or 5 incidents of major players now have a calf strain, which then they came back from, and only in a matter of 2 or 3 weeks, blow out the Achilles after the fact. So there's becoming a correlation there. My whole thing was, I don't care if it's a calf strain or an Achilles or whatever. My whole thing was, if you didn't need him, don't play him, because it gives him 3 or 4 extra days of rest, where he's just doing nothing but rehab. And that can't be anything but beneficial. Then you bring him back on a much fresher leg for game 7, if indeed you need to do that down in OKC. I just thought they would. But if you would have needed him in game 6, say in the second half, to come in and get hot, then you do that. I never said don't play him. What I said, don't play him until you absolutely need him. And I don't think they would have needed him in game 6. That was my whole point of all of this. So anyway, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Stick around. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. Man, if you have Pella windows and doors in your home, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't, you probably know what I'm talking about because the heat has been on. And here in the house, I only have air conditioning in the upstairs and the main floor because the lower floors are below ground. So they always stay about 70 degrees, right? Except in the wintertime, when that non-pellet door down there used to leak like a sieve. It was a metal door and it just brought cold air in. But this past weekend, we had 47 people in my great room downstairs, which does not have air conditioning, okay? The temperature went to 72 degrees and held steady. And that's the room where the brand new pellet windows and doors went into. It's fantastic. I'm telling you. Drop the shades, kept the sun out, turn the lights on, and the next thing you know, it was sitting at 72 degrees. Everybody's inside, outside. Me, I'm outside under the tiki hut, sweating my cojones off, grilling for everybody. I came in, went downstairs, expecting it to be hot with that many people in the house, and it wasn't. I can give you testimonial after testimonial after testimonial about my pellet windows and doors. I absolutely love them. And the fact that you close your eyes at night, you put your head on your pillow, and you say, ain't nobody getting in my house because they're locked up. It's fantastic. The security, the safety, the curb appeal, everything that goes along with it. That's our friends at Pella Windows and Doors. Go to PellaWI.com. That's PellaWI.com. And oh, by the way, you can get 0% financing right now. How about that? So now you've got another reason to call Pella. 855-PELLA-WI. That's 855-PELLA-WI. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. I've got them in my home. I love them. I swear by them. You will too. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
No, I mean, I felt like, McGill, there was good performances on the mound. Priester's stuff wasn't moving the way we're concerned. His stuff wasn't moving the way it has in the past, and that's what led to an early exit. It was quite a bit different than what had been. We don't know if it was the wind, game conditions, whatever it might have been. But so early exit, and then we got some good performances right away.
That's Murph! Murph! Matt Murphy, Milwaukee Brewers. Skipper. A little bit about his woodpeckers. Do we make suddenly you see like woodpecker t-shirts coming out now, Grant? Where suddenly we got the woodpeckers on a hat one day.
I saw a comment on the live stream earlier that said something is like, so is this team, you had Harvey's Wallbangers.
Yeah.
It's like, is this team, do we call them Murph's Peckers? And I'm like, there's too many lines that can be drawn to places we don't need to go.
Or like woodpeckers. That's what he called them. Like woodpeckers.
There's some implications there I don't
Being
love.
in this portion of the country, I would call them the icebreakers.
Oh, that's good too.
Yeah, maybe the icebreakers.
Sure.
We just keep chipping away. Okay.
I mean, that is what they did. I saw a stat. Where was it? Sarah Langs, who does, is she still with ESPN? Yeah. Or MLB Network now. Most runs in a 2-game span without a homer over the last 80 seasons. The Brewers put themselves in a group with the 2010 Astros and the 1952 Senators. Do you know where the Senators are from? I'm going to have to look that up.
The Washington Senators?
I don't know. Yeah. A little before my time.
Washington Senators.
That would stand to reason, yeah.
Yes.
Defunct in 1960, or they moved or something. I don't know. Now I have a project I need to learn about.
The Washington Senators, where did they go? Did they become Montreal? The Montreal Expos?
Looks like they had more than one run. They had an 1891 to 1899, and then also a 1901 to 1960. Oh, boy. They became the Twins. Full circle moment.
Okay, there you go. Minnesota Twins.
In 1961. So not that far off from when the Brewers got their team in 79? Okay. That's when Seattle came over?
Could not remember off the top of my head that they became the Twins.
Rare company is back to the original point. Very few teams have ever done what the Brewers did this weekend, just bludgeoning the other team to death with singles and doubles.
Right. Washington Senators, they became the Minnesota Twins. Didn't they? Correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember if Montreal was just awarded a franchise
or if they became something from somewhere else. But somewhere in there, I think the Texas Rangers have a history as well.
Montreal was home to the Expos, the first Major League Baseball team based outside the U.S. from 1969 to 2004. Right. Then they went to D.C.
Right. That's right. They became the Nationals. They moved to D.C. So they were awarded that. But wasn't it?
It looks like they were just an expansion team. Yeah. They were awarded a team. So I don't think it was
But that's their connection to Washington was they became the Nationals. So that's what I saw.
Yep.
So Montreal was awarded the franchise, but their connection wasn't the Senators. It was the fact that they then became the Nationals. But I thought the Senators, didn't they have like two franchises? They had the Senators and that went to Minnesota. Didn't the Senators go to, was it Texas? I thought there was two of them.
The Washington, there's one in the late 1800s. Let me see what happened to them. I think they might have just gone defunct.
Did they just become defunct? I thought that there was a connection to Texas too.
I think you're right. The Washington Senators name was still owned by the Texas Rangers.
There you go.
Yeah, they left to become damn, how do you know all this stuff?
Just kind of stupid stuff that I was a baseball. I don't want to say that I was a fanatic, but that
was your first love, though. That's what you said.
I was a kid that woke up every Saturday morning to watch This Week in Baseball, and I would write down the stats of everybody. I was that kid. Every game that I played, I could not wait to get home. My dad would buy me like legal pads, and I would take a ruler and line them all up and put I still think I have every one of my seasons from the time I was in probably fourth grade all the way through high school of every season of that I played, how many wins and losses we had, what I did. I had batting average. And then as OPS became somewhat popular they were just starting to kind of get into all of that kind of stuff later in high school, then I was kind of keeping a little bit of that. But for the most part, it was batting average, home runs, doubles, triples, RBIs, strikeouts, all that kind of stuff. I kept all of that. And then I would even chart how many errors I had. So, and then after a season, I would always say, this is where I want to be. This is my next goal. This is what, and I would try to eliminate errors. I would, but I think at my dad's old house, I think either at that or here somewhere, I have every season from, I want to say 1974 until 1985. Something like that. So I have like every season that I played.
Nowadays, kids just play Minecraft to address whatever that thing is in their brain that makes them want to organize stats and numbers and details. Back then, you had baseball cards and you made your little notebooks and stuff.
Yeah, I had because my best seasons were eighth grade and then through high school when I had everybody kind of at the house recruiting my mom and dad. But because I hit in eighth grade, I hit 782. And I was one of the only kids that had like legitimate home runs in some of the ballparks we played in. I think I had 11 that year. But freshman year, sophomore year, and junior year, I hit well over 650 in the GCL in high school. And I had, I think over the combined 3 years, I think I had 72 home runs. So at that point in time, and then I just quit everything like a dumbass. Just like an angry dumbass.
Is that when you discovered girls? That's typically what happens.
It got political because I was so good at football that they wanted me to play football.
Sure.
So my coaches began blackballing me in high school to play football.
Specialization.
Yeah. They wanted me to play football. And Coach Gergen, never forget, they had these quote tryouts and they had 2 games against the state champs, which at the time was Moeller High School, which was one of our rivals in the GCL. So we played Moeller in these 2 games. And in these 2 quote tryout games, I think I went like 9 of 11, 2 home runs, no strikeouts. I mean, it was stupid. What I did, it was far and away. And he cut me. He cut me from the team. And I said, because then the football coach came to me and said, well, this was for the best. And I said, nope, done. I quit everything. And that's why my senior year was I was kind of left meandering around. So, and that's the reason I ended up going up to Ohio State and going as a walk-on because I had everybody wanting to know what the hell happened. And that's what it was. It got political. So I said, screw it, like a dummy.
Well, I mean, the silver lining is decades later now, high school sports have only gotten more political and worse.
Like it's better now. Yeah.
You were actually breaking ground back then, having political issues with high school sports. You were ahead of your time.
I took a dumbass stand. My dad was going to have me change high schools. And my mom refused because I was going to a Catholic high school, an all-boy Catholic high school. My mom just was like, your education is the most important, blah, blah, blah.
And your faith.
And all of that. And my dad's like, he'll still get all of that. He'll just go to a different school. Because we had schools all over that said, hey, if you just, quote, wink, wink, move into our district, we'll take you. And my mom refused to allow me to move. And I mean, I was middle finger to the world, man. I was so mad at everybody.
Rebel.
I was one of those angry kids. And they would approach me in the hallways. They would approach, everywhere. And then I became kind of an outcast in high school from just the standpoint of coaches and administration because they were so pissed off at me. So anyway, there you have it.
I learn something new every day.
Yeah, I know. Bill was stupid. Otherwise, who knows? Who knows what could have happened? I don't know. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Michael says, thanks for asking Tim about Woodruff. I think you kind of answered your own question about adding a bat. You are correct. I like getting the guys that have control. Well over Durbin and Ortiz. They kind of fit that mold right now. Bauer is the platoon with Hoskins. And he also has defensive replacement over at first base. I don't think they add a Moustakas type of player, but more like a Ray Durham or a Curtis Gunderson type of player, a guy with experience past his prime, won't cost too much in a trade, best for valuable stretch run. Thoughts on that? One way or the other, that's the direction they're going to go, Michael. Yes, I completely agree with you. Either you find a young guy that maybe hasn't found his way yet, or you find a guy that is probably, you think, might be toiling away wherever he's at isn't the best spot for him right now. And maybe he's got a couple of years left to control. Or maybe you find a guy that just can help you that really won't cost you a lot that you're going to get rid of at the end of the season anyway. That maybe can be valuable. You take a flyer on. But the Brewers aren't going to be giving up a whole. Mate is not going anywhere. Let's put it that way. Cooper Pratt is not going anywhere. They're not giving up those prospects down in the minors right now. 877-867-1670. Tomorrow night, Tuesday night, bike night, baby. Down at LD's Barbecue, serving that slow smoked meat over 100% seasoned oak wood. That is Main Street in East Troy, Wisconsin. And tomorrow, it's going to be cooler. The cold front is going to come through. And if the rain holds off, it should be a beautiful night. LD's Barbecue, bike night tomorrow night, which means they got music outside under the stars. Main Street in East Troy, Wisconsin. It's good food, good music, a great person in Leon and his staff. And go to ldsbbq.com. That is ldsbbq.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
And now for the Pella play-by-play, here's Jeff Levering.
Thanks, Gina Della from Pella. What a beautiful day to have new windows and doors installed.
Every day is beautiful because Pella installs year-round during all seasons.
And as Pella goes into another windup, it's so hard to guess that next pitch. The customizations seem endless.
And it doesn't have to be super expensive. Pella has a product line for every budget.
And if it is time for a major upgrade, rest easy by scoring no interest and no payments for up to 2 years.
Pella also provides a free in-home consultation, which includes a no-obligation quote.
That's always a great play because working with one of Pella's design experts is such a wonderful, no-pressure get-together. I know this from experience.
With a range of affordable options and products assembled in the USA, you can get the look you want at a price you can afford.
And there's no reason to wait with this incredible deal going on.
Get no interest and no payment for up to 2 years.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. 6/30/2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome in. Bill Michaels Show. How we looking? I am really looking forward to the weekend. Even though it's Monday. You know why? We're heading out to more of God's country. La Crosse, Wisconsin. We'll be there this weekend for the Big River Rally, and we're looking forward to it. Can't wait to get out there and do a little riding in that area, which I had a spectacular time doing last year. Going to be doing the ride on Saturday. They've got rides on Friday. They've got Texas Hippie Coalition playing and rocking a stage on Friday night, and then Drowning Pool coming into town on Saturday night. But the Big River Rally, if you have not gotten your tickets already, oh my goodness, get your tickets for this Big River Rally this coming weekend in La Crosse, Wisconsin. If you're a motorcyclist, I'm sure they're going to be coming from all over the state and the region as this thing continues to grow. The second year in a row they've done this Big River Rally, June all the way through the end of the month when you talk about the weekend on the 27th, 28th, ending on the 29th. But we will see you there. See you there this weekend. Looking forward to it. Don't forget also the Big Unit Poker Run, our 18th annual in support of Fisher House, Wisconsin, comes up on Sunday, August 31st. And I want to make sure we make a mention of that because the registration will open up today at 6 o'clock Central Time. Today at 6 o'clock Central Time. You can start getting registered for that as well. So, excuse me, I got the hiccups. Excited about all of this stuff. Excited about all of it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, please feel free. Go ahead and do so again, 877-867-1670. What else do we have here for you? Oh, this one was interesting. My buddy Marty, who listens to the program, he's been around a long, long time. He talked about the female announcers and Doris Burke. Actually, growing up, he really never heard female broadcasters. So watching the weekend with like Doris Burke doing the game, following up out of the NBA playoffs and such, how do you think Doris Burke did? Now, is this Doris Burke's first NBA finals? I don't think it is. I think she's been there before. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I can't remember. She's been on broadcasts forever.
Yeah.
She just hasn't been in the booth. And I don't think for very often she's been in this role.
The one thing about Doris Burke, two things actually. One is that she's very much master of the obvious. Second thing is
I can't help it. It's that the way it just drives me nuts. Whatever she says, it's like something via the speech. It drives me nuts. It would be whether it was a male or female broadcaster. I don't care. It drives me bananas. And it almost makes it for me unlistenable. There is something about someone who speaks clearly for the most part. I learned this a long time ago, and I know things have changed, but I learned it a long time ago when I was going through college, that articulation matters for people listening. You think about some of the people. Now, we grow accustomed to certain things, but, such as a lisp or something like that, because it's local, because we maybe know those people. But for the most part, articulation matters. And when it's not clear or has something to it, take, for example, people that say and all the time. It drives people nuts. You hear that because that's all you hear. So when it comes to radio and broadcasting and such, and the voice is what paints the picture, articulation means something. So I don't know. I mean, I don't personally dislike Doris Burke. I'm not a fan, but it's like, to each his own, I guess. But I thought the NBA Finals, they did a great job leading up to all of it, the discussion about it. I could do without Stephen A. Smith yelling and everything and calling everybody brother, but beyond that, no big deal. Had a good time. More of the Bill Michaels Show. 2 hours down, 2 hours yet to go. We'll be back.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers back home tonight after sweeping the Twins over the weekend. Milwaukee did it by scoring 35 runs, including at one point scoring 27 straight without any home runs. Manager Pat Murphy liked the small ball, but wouldn't mind seeing more balls being hit out of the park.
Yeah, I love it. We're being little woodpeckers and probably should get in the weight room. Yeah, I like homers. I like homers a lot, so let's make no mistake about it.
Tonight, Brewers going to open up a series against the Pirates at American Family Field. The crew will send Chad Patrick to the mound. Cubs in 3-7 with a 3.50 ERA. Pirates are counted with Braxton Ashcraft. He's 1-0 with a 1.54 ERA. Milwaukee comes in winners of 4 straight, sitting just 3.5 games back of the first place Cubs in the NL Central. They're also a season high 8 games above 500. The Pirates enter in last place in the division, 17 games under 500. They sport a negative 61 run differential heading into tonight, which is the 4th worst in the NL. First pitch is set for 6:40.
For nearly 40 years, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Well, the NBA season is in the books after last night's Game 7 win by Oklahoma City. Now the focus shifts to the draft, which gets going Wednesday. Milwaukee has just one pick over the 2 rounds, pick number 47 in the second round. All eyes also on Giannis Antetokounmpo as his potential future among the biggest topics here this offseason. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Welcome in, the Michael Show. Can't believe we are through 3 hours of 2 hours of programming. Can't believe that. It's like, where'd the first 2 hours go? Welcome back to everybody on the network at this point. Good to have you. Coming out of the last hour when I was talking about Stephen A. Smith, the yelling. And this brother and that brother, and none of them are related. Okay, just stop it. He's trying to be so cool. It's like, just talk about the player. And his pontification and crap drives me nuts. He's got a lot of great points. Stephen A. Smith is an incredibly intelligent guy. It's like, just stop. It's not a racial thing. It's just I can't stand it. It's like, just get to the player. You don't need to act like you're, in the family with everybody, like, everybody, because we know that a lot of people dislike Stephen A. Smith, apparently, specifically within the NBA ranks, as he is, I guess, started to alienate some people. But beyond that, I thought the pregame was fantastic. I thought the broadcast was good. I did like, it's what's not said at times. At the end of the ball game, when you're letting time wind down, and then you make the announcement that the Oklahoma City Thunder are the NBA champions, and then you shut up and you just let the moment play, there's an art to that. Just let the picture tell the story. If you're doing radio, that's something completely different. You would describe it, streamers falling from the ceiling, confetti now flying, the embracing of the players, the coaches, family, all of that. You have to paint that picture. But I thought the television broadcast did a fantastic job. It's not that I dislike Doris Burke. The articulation just drives me a little bit nuts because that's something that it's like when people say W, or 100. It drives me nuts. It's just like nails on a chalkboard because it is lazy speech. And I do it every now and then. I have to admit that. It's not like I'm immune from that. But yeah, it does drive me a little bonkers at times. So there you go.
I think most people complain about the broadcast because they just need something to complain about. I don't think it's been great, but what you never hear? What you absolutely never hear is the broadcast was fine.
Right.
I didn't really pay that much mind to it.
Yes.
It was just kind of there. And I feel like we need to take that approach more often.
The only time we talk about a broadcast is when we complain about it.
Or it's the greatest, if it's Kevin Harlan, incredible.
Yes.
It's like most of the broadcasts are just solid and good, and we don't need to dedicate this much time and space to it.
I'll tell you this. I have spent a little bit of time early on this year. I've talked about some broadcasts, and some of them have been, Kevin Harlan was one of them, Jim Nantz at the Masters, for that long period of time where he said nothing. And it was just the emotion of Rory, the emotion of the family, the panning of the fans, shot after shot. He said for like 5 minutes, he said nothing. And it was perfect. Jim Nantz is truly a master at knowing when to speak. So I've given him credit. I gave them credit for last night because after the Oklahoma City, Thunder are the NBA, basketball champions or champions in the world, whatever they said. And then they shut up. There is an art to that. The play-by-play aspect of it, kind of, mediocre. But that's why you look at a guy like Brian Anderson, who I think does a fantastic job. And I have to admit, when they hired Brian Anderson coming out of the Golf Channel, I'm like, man, a Golf Channel guy doing baseball? This is I was a little skeptical. Immediately won me over. And the fact that he has risen so high in the ranks to be everything. I mean, he's done golf, he's done baseball, he's done the NBA, he's done the Final Four, NCAA tournament. I don't believe, and now he's doing tennis. I don't think there's anything he can't do in the moment that he can't seize via the optics. And he is fantastic. And we're actually really lucky when you talk about broadcasters in the state of Wisconsin. I've said that before. Even with the passing of Bob Uecker, you still, you got some tremendous voices in Wayne Larrivee and Matt LePay and company. So, I mean, we kind of know what good broadcasting is. And then obviously for many growing up on Uecker for so many years, 50 years of, being in baseball and broadcasting and such. So, you get very spoiled because you get many different aspects of how to be a good broadcaster. And Ted Davis was fantastic. Ted knew when to kind of bring it to you and when to shut up. And he had an energy to it, and a commentary to it as well. So a lot of good stuff. A lot of good broadcasters. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, please feel free to go ahead and do so. You can find us via text message. Text us 608-321-1670, 608-321-1670. You can watch the program each and every day over on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Bill Michael Show, youtube.com/Bill Michael Show. You can also find us on Twitter or X at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. You can find Grant at Wisco Grant, WISCO at Wisco Grant. We are on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, also on the Twitch app, the Kick app, the LinkedIn app as well, under the Bill Michaels Show, or a combination thereof. Also, you can find us on via email, thebillmichaelsshow, or thebillmichaels@gmail.com. I'm sorry, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. The website is simply thebillmichaels.com. The app is WOZN, The Zone Madison, which is our flagship station out of Madison, Wisconsin. We're after the fact on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts as well. And then we are a television show over on My24 TV in Milwaukee, 8 o'clock Central Time, Saturday night, My24 TV in Milwaukee. I'm going to talk with Justin Garcia coming up in a little bit about, the end of the season itself for not only the Bucks, but also for the NBA. And now what's next on the horizon, at least in terms of the Milwaukee Bucks, which I found, again, kind of interesting for the fact that the conversation now comes up about what's next for Giannis. It's like there's nothing next for Giannis.
I never thought he was leaving.
He's not leaving.
But now, what were the two big destinations for him in the West? The Rockets and the Thunder were maybe two of the biggest ones.
Right.
Well, the Thunder just won the title.
Right.
I don't know why they do that.
Well,
and the Rockets just acquired Kevin Durant.
Now they're talking Miami. Now they're saying it's Miami.
Sure.
Which when did Toronto fall out of the mix?
Well,
so then it was going to be, then it was going to be in Toronto. Then now it's Miami. Miami's going to be there.
Well, we milked Toronto for all it's worth. Now we got to move on. And
Exactly.
That's a big part of it. And look, Bill, we do segments sometimes where it's like, you know what? This isn't the most important thing in the world. This isn't the biggest news story in the world, but it makes for a great topic. And it's going to get people interested in the Packers in June or July. You know what I mean? That's part of it. But I just feel like that's been part of it with Giannis for like 6 years. And I feel like people are sick of it at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. 877-867-1670. Let's go to Dwayne listening to us in Oshkosh. Dwayne, what happening?
Oh, buddy, boy, did you bring back some memories. By the way, Bill, go back into the broadcasting memory bank. We had the best NBA announcer ever, Eddie Doucette.
Eddie Doucette, yeah.
The guy was, oh, my gosh. And then in the Packer days, Ted Moore. I mean, these guys are legendary.
Oh, Ted Moore had that booming voice, too.
Oh, he came into a studio once. I was working at a station. He was coming in to do a pregame thing on a snowmobile company that he was working with. And he walked in. I didn't recognize him right away. And he looked at me and goes, hey, you know where? And I'm like, oh, my gosh, it's Ted Moore. I just about fell on my face.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, my gosh, And then Ray Scott came in to do the thing with him. And I was just in broadcast heaven. And I sat there and shut up for an hour and just listened to legends.
Wow. Then you bring up Ray Scott. Oh, my God. That's another blast from the past. Yeah.
So my first game, County Stadium, my dad takes me to see the White Sox and the Washington Senators.
There you go.
And who's playing first base? Green Bay legend Frank Howard.
Wow.
Hondo. Hondo played for the yes. So Bill, and one last thing on Brian Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
That was nothing against Jeff. Jeff's a great radio guy. Brian Anderson is the best I think I've heard. Since Vin Scully. I mean, what he does for him to come back to the Brewers, and he had to watch every stinking game on some version of tape somewhere because he stepped right and goes, well, he's been struggling the last week. I'm like, you haven't been here for a month and a half. How do you know this stuff? And he is so ridiculously good.
Yep.
So, three things on the Brewers real quick.
Yeah.
Yelich. That's one of the elephants in the room. You have to make a trade because you don't know how healthy, how long. And that's the scary part.
Mm-hmm.
I told Grant, I said, if he gets a reserve spot on the outfield for the All-Star game, the Brewers should say, no, you are not allowed to go on the field.
Right.
You cannot go out there.
Right.
You go in the dugout with a bat. That's where we want you.
Yeah.
Because he's really on the pace. The other thing is we don't know about William. William is one hand swinging, and there's absolutely no power there anymore. It's just disappeared. If you get McMahon, and again, he's having a bad year. I don't know if he's hurt or what. This guy is a stud. He is one of the best defensive third basemen in the league, period. And I think he had 21 bombs last year. Boy, if you could get a change of scenery to that guy, oh my gosh, you would have the best. You would have the best defensive second baseman in Trang, and maybe the best defensive third baseman in McMahon.
Yeah.
I mean, he's that good.
That's a name that has been kicked around a little bit as well. We talked about that with Tim Allen a little bit earlier, and I agree that if you could bring him in and then garner some control for a long-term deal, that would be fantastic for this team. I completely agree with you.
Absolutely.
You would have pretty much the majority of your guys set with young guys knocking at the door, and that's the best situation for the Brewers. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and the third thing is I need another left-handed reliever because I have no confidence that Koenig can get any right-handed bats out ever again. He has been putrid lately. And with him and the other guy, I can't think of his name, Murph. What was the guy's name? Hudson.
Yes.
Hudson's now in the minors, and he hasn't figured it out. Remember last year, those guys always gave you 2 innings each.
Yep.
And they're both lefties.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have that now.
Right.
We don't have that. And, and then finally, the reason why they like Mitchell, as I told Grant, he was a 4-star by most people, and by some people, a 5-tool player coming out of UCLA.
Right. And still is. It's just when he plays, he has played well. It's just whether or not he can stay healthy for a longer period of time and figure out whatever issues ail him. Maybe whatever he needs to do this upcoming offseason, he needs to do it with Sal Frelick, who put on the 25 pounds of muscle and has been just, as he was called, a baseball rat earlier today. Maybe that's what he needs to do.
And the other thing is Mitch is diabetic. So I don't know if that has something to do with training restrictions and all that kind of stuff too. But it's just you just watch him and you go, oh my gosh, there's so much there, because face it, you guys keep talking about Perkins. He's a wonderful defender. He's a bench guy. He's not a starter.
Well,
but
look at his numbers in comparison to Mitchell from last year. His numbers were just as good.
That's because Mitchell's always hurt.
But that's what I'm saying, though. But Mitchell was hurt, and when Blake Perkins filled in, you didn't miss a beat. As a matter of fact, you got better defensively. No. So his WAR number was actually better than what Garrett Mitchell's was last year.
Yeah, and I'm like Tim Allen. I care about batting average and get me RBIs. I don't care about OPS. I wish they would take that stupid OPS crap off the broadcast. Mm-hmm. I just want to see, but yeah, if you can get McMahon, you have, oh my gosh, I think you become the division favorite then immediately.
Right.
Immediately.
Nope. I would
great talking to you guys.
Got to catch those Cubs.
Hey, I have one question for you, Bill.
Yeah.
What's the name of this band called? What, the Drowning Pool?
Drowning Pool.
Well, they name it after the movie with Paul Newman?
I don't think so.
When he played Lou Harper, the private detective.
Maybe they did. I don't know. Yeah. Ask him this weekend.
Ask him.
Okay.
Yeah. Say, hey, you guys named after that Paul Newman movie?
Maybe they did. Maybe they just like Paul Newman dressing, and they decided to go with Drowning Pool.
Could be.
I was going to say the salad dressing guy.
I'm just getting old, Bill.
Okay.
I'm getting older. I remember these things, and but hey, great show, you guys, and BA. Keep doing it, buddy. Hey, one quick question.
Yes.
Glenn didn't know. Where's Bill Schroeder? Where's the rock?
We need the rock back. Billy has cut back on his time in the booth. I know for a little while he had, some health issues, so he just decided to cut back on his time. But Billy's doing great from what I understand. So unless there's some other health issue that I don't know about, but Bill is Bill does his fair share of games. So hopefully Bill's back in the booth sometime soon. Miss hearing Bill, absolutely. So, but I appreciate the phone call. I love what we've had with Tim Dillard and company. Because they give you a little bit of insight too. But there is something smooth with Bill Schroeder and Brian Anderson being together.
Folksy. I like it.
It's like good shoes, man. It's like good shoes.
Or clean socks. Or a nice warm bowl of beer cheese soup. We could just say whatever we want. I like BA and BA and Dillard together. Yeah. And then I like Levering and Vinny Rottino. I think those two teams, they seem to work a little bit better than if you crisscross them.
Right.
Because I really like Jeff Levering, and I talked to Dwayne off the air for like 5 minutes about this.
Right.
Levering going from radio to TV is tough because it's a completely different job, whereas BA can just come in always having been the TV guy. It's very familiar for him. They're just different broadcasters. But I like those two teams. We should keep BA and Dillard together, and then Vinny Rottino and Levering together. That's right. Those are the teams that I've enjoyed most, the combos that I've enjoyed most.
Yep, no doubt. 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. Give us a shout. Got a lot more to get to. Don't forget, coming up on Wednesday night,
Wednesday night, Almighty Vinyl is going to rock the stage as Wednesday Night Live is back yet again. And it looks like, again, mid-80s should be nice weather, barring maybe the possibility of a shower. But June 25th, Almighty Vinyl takes the stage at Wednesday Night Live in the Bud Pavilion. And they'll be rocking the house. Gates open up at 6, absolutely free to get in. And live music starts at 7. Always a good time. It is summer. Summer is upon us, and Wednesday Night Live is back at the Wisconsin State Fairgrounds with Almighty Vinyl. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels here. Your two wheels revved up because here it comes. The Big River Rally where the river meets the road. It rolls into La Crosse on June 27th and 28th. Join us for a weekend packed with action. Stunt shows, a killer bike show, food trucks, all kinds of awesome vendors. Friday, Rod's River Run with Texas Hippie Coalition lighting up the stage that night. Then Saturday, it's the Big River Rally Ride. Miles and miles of pure freedom. Then Saturday night, Drowning Pool rocks the house. Grab your tickets right now. BigRiverRally.com. That's BigRiverRally.com, and I'll see you there.
And now for the Pella play-by-play, here's Jeff Levering.
Thanks, Gina Della from Pella. What a beautiful day to have new windows and doors installed.
Every day is beautiful because Pella installs year-round during all seasons.
And as Pella goes into another windup, it's so hard to guess that next pitch. The customizations seem endless.
And it doesn't have to be super expensive. Pella has a product line for every budget.
And if it is time for a major upgrade, rest easy by scoring no interest and no payments for up to 2 years.
Pella also provides a free in-home consultation, which includes a no-obligation quote.
That's always a great play because working with one of Pella's design experts is such a wonderful, no-pressure get-together. I know this from experience.
With a range of affordable options and products assembled in the USA, you can get the look you want at a price you can afford.
And there's no reason to wait with this incredible deal going on.
Get no interest and no payment for up to 2 years.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Restrictions apply. 6/30/2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show, we continue on. If by chance you are looking for an attorney, Levine Iceburner, and I know Brett Iceburner for quite some time. He on the board of Fisher House, Wisconsin. Great guy. And oh, by the way, he actually answers the phone. He actually goes to court. He's actually a guy that fights for you. So whether it's say a personal injury or an estate planning type of thing where you're looking for a will or a trust or a living will, or even civil litigation with contract disputes or say defamation, or something that, you want to go after somebody for something that happened, he's your guy. He's your guy. Levine Iceburner. Get a hold of them. Really good attorneys, and the fact that they're not so big that, come on, they actually answer the phone. They actually answer the phone, they actually go to court, and they actually work with you and create that relationship. 608-621-2888. 608-621-2888. Again, 608-621-2888. I hope you never need them, but if you do, those are the people to call. 608-621-2888. Proud supporters of our motorcycle ride coming up on August 31st. We go live tonight at 6 o'clock. I cannot wait to put all of that out there for the 18th annual Big Unit Poker Run coming up. Really, really good stuff. I got a couple of emails to get to. This one is from, who's this from? This is from Max. Max says, hey guys, do you think that Pat Murphy is also asking for another bat, or do you think he's just feeling he can get the most out of his young guys? Maybe Murphy is the decision maker when it comes to getting extra players and pieces because he feels so strongly towards his younger players, almost like a father figure. It's probably hard for him to say one guy needs to go down while we bring in another guy from the outside. Do you think this is true? I think Pat Murphy has a say in what he thinks, but that's a great question. Because, Grant, you said it before that Murphy has this feel for guys and treats them like the father figure. No father wants their kid to not succeed. So you try to hang on to those kids as long as you can to say, I'm going to give you every opportunity to succeed. But if you can go find somebody better, he also understands that there is a level of, it's a results-oriented business. It's not about feelings. It's not just about relationships. While he does have a very good clubhouse, it's not just about that. You're here to win. So my sense is that maybe he's the guy, the father figure, to tell guys, hey, we know you're struggling. And we hate to say it, but we're in this to win games. So it's not goodbye. It's just until we see you again, go get better. Go work on what you need to work on and then work your way back. And who knows, if something happens, you could be back here sooner rather than later because you've got experience now. But I don't think because he has a relationship with guys that would prevent him or prevent the Brewers from making a deal.
No, I think he has soft spots for maybe certain types of players. I think he likes the Sal Freliks and Caleb Durbins, the undersized or underachieving, tough baseball players, which I think for this team makes sense, and that jives with Murph. Right. I also think there are players that Murph just doesn't have time for, and he's not afraid to make that clear. Like, I don't think he has any appetite for Aaron Ashby. And after yesterday, he might not have an appetite for DL Hall either. He's like, hey, when I call on you guys to hold a 6-run lead and pitch me 2 innings, like, I can't watch you throw the ball to the backstop and walk guys. I think that drives him up a tree. I think Brian Hudson, they sent him down last year towards the end because he lost velocity. It's like, hey, I know you've been great all year. Tough. So I think that they can, be tough love with guys too.
Yeah.
I think Murphy walks that line pretty well, and he'll speak the truth. Like what he said about Savali, it's like, okay, so he said his piece. Now it's time for him to go behave and pitch for us if he needs to. Like he he doesn't miss words. I like Murph. I don't always love his in-game management, but as a personality and as a leader, I mostly like him a lot.
I do too. I think that I would never think that he would hold his team back because of his like for somebody, unless that like for somebody was a belief that they were indeed going to help the team. Because if you can get better, you got to get better. I mean, it's a results-oriented business. Otherwise, if you're just hanging on the guys because you like them, you'll find yourself looking for a job before it's all said and done. So yeah, I agree with you. The one thing, and I will say this, if you've ever watched his face, when guys come in and can't throw strikes, I think that gnaws at him more than having a worm in his colon. I'll tell you that right now. That's just, you can just see his face. He's one of those old school guys. It's just like, dude, you got to come in and throw strikes and you got to get outs. That's what we're paying you to do. And I think it just eats at him if you can't come in and throw strikes.
Well, and I think they went to DL Hall, who's basically got a 1-to-1 strike to walk ratio. Like, it's not acceptable. It's not going to work, even though they like his stuff a lot. And as a lefty, there's extra value there. DL Hall only retiring one batter yesterday, I think incensed Murphy, and with good reason, because then he's got to use Mears, and then he's got to use Koenig, and then he's got to use McGill early to go get Koenig. Like, if DL Hall just does his job and pitches 2 innings, I bet they would have loved 3, and then he gets the save.
Yeah.
The end of yesterday's game is a lot cleaner, but he comes in and gives up a bunch of walks and makes a mess. And yeah, I think that drives Murphy crazier than anything. And Hall and Ashby are by far the 2 worst perpetrators of that crap.
Let's do this. We're at the bottom of the hour. Justin Garcia is going to join us. We'll talk some more Bucks basketball. He does the Bucks pre and post, and we'll talk with him about now that the season is culminated. OKC is the champion. Indiana loses Hallebertton. Hallebertton down now probably until at least March of next year, depending on where they're at as a team. Dame is down to at least January, February, you would assume, and to see where they need him as a team and what the Bucks are going to do maybe to expect this upcoming offseason. Free agency begins today, by the way, in the NBA. Then on Wednesday is the NBA draft. That's right around the corner. And then you've got more moves that are going to be made. So what to expect out of the Milwaukee Bucks and whether or not something's going to happen here any minute as far as trades go or free agency or what have you. And we'll talk with him upcoming right here after the bottom of the hour. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. This portion of it brought to you by our friends at Marquardt RV. Here's one thing over the weekend. That was between you, me, and the fence post. That was a little bit of my respite because, I had some friends that came over and my son's friends that wanted to see the RV. So I had it spread out. I had everything set up. I had the air conditioning on, the whole thing. And first of all, it stayed cool in 96-degree heat. With one, not 2, but 1 air conditioning unit running, it stayed really nice and cool in there. But it was kind of like a place to go and get away from everybody, still to stay cool rather than going outside. It was kind of cool that way. But everybody loved it. They walked through it and were just like, oh my God, this is just like traveling in luxury. It's a Thor motor coach from Marquardt RV. But more so than anything, it's the fact that we get a chance to do some auctions and take people on trips with us, whether it's to a Brewers game for a tailgate or a Packers game for a tailgate to do some stuff for veterans and our Big Unit Foundation. We're going to do it also coming up for a game out of Camp Randall this year as well. Love the fact that Marquardt jumped on board, not necessarily to kind of promote their product, but also to do a lot of great things in the community. That's Marquardt RV, where they pride themselves on their service. MARKQUART. That's marquardtrv.com with 8 locations in Wisconsin, a couple of them over in Minnesota. And all you got to do is go to Marquardt, MARKQUART, marquardtrv.com. That is marquardtrv.com. Talk a little basketball, some NBA and Bucks coming up next in the Bill Michaels Show.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
At Potawatomi, where ways to win are endless, another chance to capture epic cash and prizes comes Friday, June 27th. It's the season finale blockbuster drawings. Watch your entries from enchanted spins, unreal treasures, and boundless bounty come together for drawings where $300,000 in cash and prizes is there for the taking. Be there to win your share. June 27th only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. More info online. Must be 21 years old to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
The OKC piece of this might be the beginning of, a half a decade run. We kind of do this after every finals, but in this case, with how young they are, I don't even feel like they've peaked with whatever their core is. It feels like that's 2 years away. So this is pretty unique.
There's no reason to think that this is Jalen Williams' peak. There's certainly no reason to think that it's Chet's peak. I mean, offensively, he was so good defensively tonight, especially to close that one out, and no one can just win a championship without the follow-up questions of like, how real is this? And a lot of times it's total bullshit. It's a waste of time. It's a Monday topic after a championship. It's not good enough to just celebrate the championship. But as Zach said, considering what they've done, how they've built this, how young this team is, the youngest team in 40 plus years win a championship like this, normally that post-championship discussion, I just think it's so fatiguing, and this one is completely relevant.
Welcome back. Bill Michaels Show. Glad you are with us on this Monday. Now that the NBA season has culminated, really the second season now begins because you've got a free agency getting underway today. And also you've got the NBA draft, which is just about upon us. Justin Garcia, host of the Bucks pre and post game network coverage, joining us on the hotline. Justin, how you doing, man?
Good, Bill. Good to catch up with you again.
Yeah, you too. Well, first of all, what'd you make of what we witnessed last night? Because I thought, let me say this. I am not downplaying the injury or the importance of the injury to Indiana, but I thought all along that OKC was the better team to begin with. And I thought that maybe they shouldn't have played Hallebertton in game 6 because they really technically didn't need him. They kind of blew him out. And I think OKC looked forward to game 7 being back at home, but they took the chance and it didn't pay off, and he goes down with the injury, and now you've got OKC as the champions.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just trying to be a contrarian, but I picked the Pacers to win the series just based on what we witnessed in that series against the Bucks and how they played throughout the rest of the Eastern Conference playoffs. And part of it, too, I can't put my finger on what it is. I just didn't really like this Thunder team. I recognize how good they were defensively, but there were a lot of flaws there on the offensive end. And look, from start to finish, they were clearly the best team in the league. So I think the league will take solace in that and saying we presented a product where the team that for the duration of the season was the best team, they won the championship. And I think you can say that 2 years in a row now. They'll look at that as a good thing, but it's hard to not leave that series with anything but the conversation over that injury to Tyrese Hallebertton.
Going back to that, I thought, and I said this before the game, in game 6, I said, I thought they made a mistake by playing Hallebertton. I would have held him out, and if you needed him and he could play, bring him back. But if you didn't need him, whether you were getting blown out or you were blowing them out, which it ended up they did, due in part to Hallebertton, then you can go to game 7. Then he gets the extra 2 or 3 days. Then he's got a little bit fresher leg, and that calf injury doesn't turn into obviously an Achilles injury. But then you can look at it and say, okay, then he can come back on a fresher leg and give you all he's got in game 7 versus playing him and risking this, because we've seen now calf injuries relating to Achilles injuries. We've seen this time and again, which is the reason the Bucks took so long a while ago to let Giannis come back, because they didn't want the Achilles injury to happen when he had the calf strain. So to me, it was like, I don't think I would have done that. And they took the chance and ultimately failed. Do you think they're going to go back and second guess themselves time and again?
No, just because it's game 6 and 7 of the finals, and it's an Indiana team that's never won an NBA championship, and you don't know when you'll get there again. But to the other point that you brought up, I think that's what Bucks fans should leave this series with, and thinking, man, thank God that maybe it wasn't just the organization, and Giannis recognized this as well, but regardless, thank God we did not see Giannis try to play through that calf injury 2 years ago and potentially suffer the same thing. And then if that happens, who knows where things go as a second apron team with an injury to Giannis and a pretty bleak future then.
So now we look at the East, and we were talking about this earlier, that you've got Hallebertton is out. You've got Indiana minus Hallebertton, because he's not going to be back at least until you would figure March, if he comes back at all next year. So Hallebertton is out. They're breaking up a little bit of the Boston Celtics. Cleveland is still a good team. The Bucks are a good team, but they need a couple of pieces. Is it the Knicks or Cleveland that begins to ascend as the favorite now in the East?
Well, or is it a team behind door number 3 and the team that just traded for Desmond Bain last week, or the Orlando Magic suddenly saying, hey, we think we're the favorites? And I think all of that just kind of backs up, have the Bucks, I don't want to say backed into, but have they found themselves in a better spot by doing nothing? And again, they were never going to trade Giannis unless he asked for it.
Right.
But by not playing that and saying, let's just see where everything falls. You know, at the time of the Jason Tatum injury, Boston's probably going to take a step backward, but you thought it was an East that had, well, the Knicks will be good, the Cavs will be good, you got the Pacers. Now Halliburton's injured. I would presume he's not going to play next season. The Knicks are going to have a new coach. The Cavs, I suppose, could say, look at all the injuries that happened. Maybe if we don't do anything, we are the prohibitive favorites and we can win this thing. But the Cavs are also a team kind of similar to the Bucks that they've just come up short year after year. I kind of get the assumption they're going to be one of those stealth teams that makes some type of a move. So if you're the Bucks, even more so than 4 weeks ago when Jason Tatum suffered that injury, this conference is in even more flux. And, you know, other contributing factors too, like that Hallebertton injury. What does it mean now for the free agency with Miles Turner? That we heard before the game, the Pacers were committed to paying him $30 million and going into the tax. Does this make you reevaluate that now? Right. And if that's the case and he signs elsewhere, that's good news for the Bucks in the sense that it's one less team that has money to spend on your free agents.
Right. What do you think the Bucks do? I mean, I think right now, whatever deal is made, it's probably something we don't necessarily see coming. But they've got some mid-level stuff that they could actually go out and find. And they don't – the whole thing of the big three, I don't necessarily believe in. So you're not going to go out and find somebody else to take Dame's place. What I'm saying is you got to find dogs. And what I saw with Cleveland, with New York Knicks, and specifically with Indiana was they played really aggressive up and down the floor defense that wore you out through 3 quarters. And then in the fourth quarter is when they excelled. The Bucks clearly didn't have that. But when the Bucks played transition basketball, they would win games. You could see that. So what do the Bucks do this offseason to bring in dogs?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say they had some of that, but to your point, not enough. In that It was, you know, the guys that played the most and that were the most impactful in that series against the Pacers, that worked. That's what you got to lean into, but you need more of that. When they had to go to the bench is when they started to run into the problems and playing a little bit slower. They do have a lot more flexibility. I think we talked about it before. As unfortunate as it was to move on from Chris Middleton, it opened up the door for a number of things for you to try to keep this group together. I get the assumption Gary Trent Jr. is probably their top priority in terms of retaining because of the age and because of his fit alongside Giannis on both ends of the floor as a 2-guard that, you know, you finally got defense too in that spot for the Bucks. And, you know, back to the point too, teams that have cap space, there are 2 teams that have cap space. Now about half the league is in the spot the Bucks are in, where you have a non-taxpayer mid-level, which is $14 million. You have something, a biannual exception you could use, which is another $5 million. Half the league is sitting there, but only 2 teams can go out and spend. I get the assumption it's not going to be anyone external the Bucks use those things on. It's to keep guys like ideally Gary Trent and Kevin Porter Jr. You can break that up on them. Bobby Portis is the interesting one to me. I mean, I think the Bucks would love to retain everyone that they have, including Brook Lopez. I would assume Brook is probably the least likely to be back just because I think the market is going to be strongest for him than anyone else that the Bucks have as a free agent. I wonder what it is for Bobby Portis when you have a couple other power forwards in Naz Reid and Julius Randle, who are both free agents and are going to command more money than Bobby Portis. And again, it comes back to teams that don't have cap space. There's only so much money that can go around. So you're going to get back to the spot where there's guys that end up taking less money than you would have thought. And for the Bucks, that's a really good thing. It helps you retain your guys, and it also gets you out of the tax.
How big of an offseason is it for John Horst?
I mean, it's huge because it tells you where they think this franchise is. And one other thing, too, I agree with what you said in that I think they're going to work hard to retain those guys that we mentioned, but I'm not ruling out something under the radar that none of us see coming or think of at this time. I mean, everybody's gone to the trade machine and kicked around deals if we can trade out this player and bring in this. I wouldn't shoot down something like that happening. I don't think it's anything that's been floated out there because that's how John Horst has always operated. I mean, you go back, 2 off seasons ago, everybody would have loved to have had Damian Lillard, but you said, hey, I just don't think the Bucks have the assets to get him. Same thing with Drew Holiday, and yet here we are. So I do think they're going to push hard to try to make something happen with what they have. I mean, they got a 2031 first-round draft pick that they can trade and a 2032 pick swap as well. And that 2031 first for the Bucks is very likely the best asset that's going to be made available, because the reality is, even if Giannis is still here in 2030, by that point, you fast forward 5 years from now, he's 35 going on 36. Right. It's going to start to diminish. So if your other teams, you're looking at it and you're saying, yeah, I'll bet on the Bucks not being anywhere near here in the 2030, 2031 season. And we think we can get a top 3 pick if that's the case.
I look around the rest of the East, and I agree with you about, say Orlando, Cleveland, obviously the Knicks, depending on what happens with their coaching staff over there. I don't know where the Bucks fit into this, but there's been a lot of talk about whether or not there's a need for a big 3 now, and there's a need for, to put these superstars together. I think what you found is that if you've got guys that can play defense and you've got a bunch of dogs and a superstar or 2, you can get things done. You don't have to have big 3 that are just going to eat up the minutes and eat up the basketball anymore. So that being said, do you kind of you make a trade, you make a move, you bring in 1 or 2 pieces, and then you kind of look forward to Damian Lillard coming back, if he can come back, say, after the All-Star break, and then see where things fit. I don't know if Damian Lillard coming into the end of the next season is going to be the answer or not, especially coming back and trying to shake off an Achilles injury at his age. But that then becomes kind of your free agent acquisition if indeed he can come back, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and I'm not going to bet against Damian Lillard, and we've already seen him post the pictures and videos of him starting the rehab process. It's going to be a challenge to come back from that injury at that age. I think the difference is with Dame versus someone like Tyrese Halliburton or Jason Tatum is the age, in that when you get to that age, I think that's when you say, I got to push it to come back. Whereas if you're, 26, 27 years old and you suffer that, you say, I got a long runway in front of me, so let's make this an 18-month rehab. Whereas Dame knows, I got 2 years left on my contract, or 1 year in a player option, and I'm in my mid-30s, that I got to make this happen now. So I do agree that I think in a sense you would look at that as that's either a free agent acquisition or your trade deadline move as you get Damian Lillard back a month after the trade deadline. But I think the big thing for them is it's not one player away anymore with this group, but also with the Eastern Conference outlook. I don't know what that even means anymore when we're trying to find, who's going to be the clear favorite. But I think the move is more to take larger contracts and break them up into multiple players that can help you, because, the Pacers don't have a superstar. Tyrese Halliburton's a star. Pascal Siakam is a star, but they're not superstars. The Thunder have a superstar, an elite defense and good pieces around them. And, same with the Denver Nuggets. One superstar, Nikola Jokic. That's where we're transitioning to. And what the Pacers did was, say it's not the big 3 anymore and it's not combining stars. It's putting together a team that can play on both ends of the floor and basically saying we have no weaknesses you can pick at. We may not be the best shooting team. We may not be the best defensive team, but we're pretty good at both of them. We're pretty good offensively. We have vastly improved our defense, and there's just not one major weak spot to pick at. That's how you find success, and I think that's the big thing the Bucks need to move into. And the way to do that, frankly, is for this era, if you will, to basically embrace, look, 30 going on 31, Giannis has to be the oldest player on our team going forward.
Right. No, that I would agree with, because we saw them get run out of the gym on numerous occasions by teams that just played defense and got up and down the court. Justin, always a good time. Appreciate it, man. And as the season and the offseason rolls on, we'll touch base again, okay?
Sounds good, Bill. Anytime.
Thanks, bud. There you go. Justin Garcia, host of the Pre and the Post over on the Bucks Radio Network, joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline. Going to go ahead, take a break. Don't go anywhere. We still got a lot more to get to. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome. Bill Michaels Show. This portion of it brought to you by our friends at Dwayne's, D-U-A-N-E-S. Dwayne's covered all. By the way, Dwayne was rooting against Indianapolis. He was rooting against the Pacers as well. Him and I were exchanging some text messages yesterday as that game went down. But Dwayne's, D-U-A-N-E-S, Dwayne's CoverItAll.com. Whether it's boat covers, upholstery, like he did for mine, the cockpit cover, the floor, repaired some of the upholstery in the form of tears, also repaired and completely replaced some of the upholstery that was in the boat. The boat is like brand new. And whether it's a boat, say an awning out in front of your business, gym equipment, office furniture, you name it, he can do it all. And it is fantastic. Right now he's doing I think it's a 1921 or 23 car. He redid the upholstery for the front seats to make it match like the period. For a person who's restoring an old classic car. I mean, it's just so many amazing things that he can do. And if you're looking for somebody to do it and somebody to do it reasonably and somebody to do it the best, D-U-A-N-E-S, Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. That is Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. Justin Garcia was just joining us and talking a little bit about the Bucks' future. The Bucks, I say, now this is just me. I say that it's just, they have not been the same since PJ Tucker was gone.
you need dogs. And that's the reason I keep bringing it up. I think Giannis is your scorer. Giannis is your ball handler. I don't like it, but that's the way it's going to be. So you got to find dirty work guys. You know, you've always had Brook Lopez as kind of the rim protector on the inside. And you need guys that are willing to head to the floor for the ball. You need guys that are willing to just sell out for defense. You need guys that are willing to sell out for tips and deflections. And you need guys that are willing to sell out for both offensive and defensive rebounds. And younger guys that can get up and down the floor. You don't need – it would be great if you could pick up a couple of superstars that are going to come in and want to play with Giannis. But they don't have the room monetarily, and they're not going to do that. So to me, it's going to be a couple of creative moves that are going to bring in a little bit of fresh blood. You're going to wait for Dame to come back. You're probably going to be in the thick of things just because Giannis is here. Now, that's provided Giannis is healthy. Now, if something happens and Giannis goes down for whatever, a long portion of the season, and things just aren't working out, then my assumption is that Dame is not going to come back sooner rather than later. But that's kind of where you're at as a Bucks fan, is that you're hoping for a couple of those guys that you get, add some new energy, some new blood. And like, Justin said, that you're probably going to prioritize keeping a few of these players. Gary Trent Jr., you'd like to be able to keep Bobby Portis around as well, see what happens there. Maybe get a little creative on a trade. And then from there, just because of the East, it might have fallen back to you a little bit. Maybe you can then, again, compete in the East, but it's all about getting from point A to point B. It's about getting into the postseason and having more than a first-round success. So we'll see. Got a lot of Brewers baseball to chat about. Got Brewers coming up tonight, taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates down at American Family Field. I'm looking so forward to tonight, just relaxing and watching the Brewers game and taking it easy. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. Got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. Another hour yet to go. Don't go anywhere. More of the Bill Michaels Show is next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers back home tonight after sweeping the Twins over the weekend. Milwaukee did it by scoring 35 runs, including at one point scoring 27 straight without any home runs. Manager Pat Murphy liked the small ball, but wouldn't mind seeing more balls being hit out of the park.
Yeah, I love it. We're being little woodpeckers and probably should get in the weight room. Yeah, I like homers. Yeah, I like homers a lot, so let's make no mistake about it.
Tonight, Brewers going to open up a series against the Pirates at American Family Field. The crew will send Chad Patrick to the mound. Cubs in 3-7 with a 3.50 ERA. Pirates are kind of with Braxton Ashcraft. He's 1-0 with a 1.54 ERA. Milwaukee comes in winners of 4 straight, sitting just 3.5 games back of the first place Cubs in the NL Central. They're also a season high 8 games above 500. The Pirates enter in last place in the division, 17 games under 500. They sport a negative 61 run differential heading into tonight, which is the 4th worst in the NL. First pitch is set for 6:40.
ABC of Wisconsin is the largest apprenticeship program in the state, with more than 2,000 active apprentices in 12 different skilled trades. In the ABC apprenticeship program, you earn while you learn on the job, get paid to go to class, and graduate with a job in your craft, but without the huge college debt. Explore 12 different construction trades in one spot at buildyourcareerwi.org, or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Well, the NBA season is in the books after last night's Game 7 win by Oklahoma City. Now the focus shifts to the draft, which gets going Wednesday. Milwaukee has just one pick over the 2 rounds, pick number 47 in the 2nd round. All eyes also on Giannis Antetokounmpo as his potential future among the biggest topics here this offseason. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
That fast. That fast. It's hour number 4. That fast. Welcome in to everybody over in the live stream, the cheap seats. Love having you.
Everybody chiming in via text message, 608-321-1670, 608-321-1670. If you want to give us a shout there, you can. Great having everybody that is a participant in the program. If you want to chime in, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Find us there. You can also track us down via text message, 608-321-1670, 608-321-1670. Again, 608-321-1670. Over there on YouTube, which is a great way to pay attention to the program, whether it's chiming in on the stream or if you just want to watch the program and listen to it and such, you can do so. YouTube.com/Bill Michaels Show. YouTube.com/Bill Michaels Show. Please subscribe. We appreciate it when you do. And, it doesn't cost you anything. So why the hell not? But we appreciate having all the subscribers and the viewers over there. You can find us on Twitter, on X, @Bill_Michaels, @Bill_Michaels. You can find us on, you can find Grant, by the way, @Wisco Grant, WISCO @Wisco Grant. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Also on the Twitch app, the Kick app, the LinkedIn app as well, under the Bill Michaels Show, or a combination thereof. And then you can find us via email, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. The website, simply thebillmichaels.com. The app to take us anywhere and everywhere and listen to us via our flagship station is The Zone Madison. The Zone, Z-O-N-E, The Zone Madison. And then our friends over there at Spotify, Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, we get quite a few downloads. So thanks you for downloading the program as well. And in addition to that, we are a television program on Saturday nights, 8 o'clock Central Time in Milwaukee on My 24 TV Milwaukee. That is My 24 TV Milwaukee. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA. Did you hear the post-game, Grant, when he ended up talking to the media and such about kind of his, I don't want to say legacy, but kind of what he's accomplished this season? And just kind of, you talk about a guy that is humble and is kind of understanding of his surroundings and all of that. I mean, it's just, to listen to him talk after the game, there was no pontification about greatness. It was the spreading of wealth, so to speak, and humbleness. It was, you talk about just a good guy that won the regular season MVP, that won the finals, and then won the finals MVP. And when you start talking about the rare air that he was in this year, in that sense, I think it was he was really good to listen to. I mean, he's always been good to listen to, don't get me wrong, but he was good to listen to, and he understands his value and his role and his setting, and the humbleness by which he kind of exuded in his post-game presser. I just some of his comments I thought were just really well put in appreciating where he's at. And he talked about living out your dream. He talked about being a kid and this is your dream, but he just never realized that his game could get to this level. You always dream about it, but you never realize that your game can get to this level, and to what he did for this entire season, and putting him in that, like I said, that rarefied air was just, it was really cool to listen to after the ball game. And obviously dejection of part of Rick Carlisle and company and what happened. And, with Tyrese Hallebertton going down with not with the calf strain, but the calf strain that led ultimately to the snapped Achilles, as we all saw that on TV. And we've seen that now, that little pop, far too many times in recent history. So, I guess to say it sucked the life out of that team would be maybe an understatement. But that being said, it was really it was really interesting to listen to both sides of all of the commentary after the ball game last night.
I can give you 25 seconds, him talking about how there's been a weight lifted off his shoulders.
Yeah,
if you'd like to hear that.
Let's take
this is from his,
take a listen.
Yeah.
Feels amazing. So much weight off my shoulders. So much stress relieved. Like, no matter what, like, you go into every night wanting to win, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way. And tonight could have been one of those nights, but we found a way. I'm so proud of this group. I wouldn't have rather done it with any other group in the world. It feels good to be a champion.
So proud of this group. All of that. SGA is just a really, really class act. He exuded probably class beyond his years. If you want to call him like an old soul and understanding, that's the kind of guy it is.
And I was just, I was really appreciative listening to him last night and the things that he had to say. So I just found that interesting.
I can also give you 7 seconds of Chet Holmgren trying to say the word Michelob if you're interested in that. I'm gonna play it for you anyways. You're listening to this.
But for now, I got my Michelob Ultra joints, and these work more than fine. So
this is what happens when you raise people in the Twin Cities surrounded by nothing but your Surleys and your craft little trailer breweries with everyone with their dogs and their kids.
The Michelob. Yeah, like the Michelin man drinks Michelob.
Dumbass. Two sides of the coin. Jalen Williams, here, I can, if you want just a little bit more sound from last night, I thought this question and answer with SVP was really good too.
Yeah.
If you wanted, it's about 90 seconds.
Jalen
Williams talking about this season. So here, just to paint a full picture, poor Chet Holmgren.
I told you how impressed I've been with how stoic and steady you all are, but I do think the human being, I'm interested in this part of it, right? The high moments, how hard is it to stay kind of grounded and humble? And then in the down moments, how hard is it to stay confident? Do you balance that? Like, is there one that's more difficult than the other, just to remind yourself we're not done yet? And then to remind yourself, we won 60 some odd games in the regular season. We're good. Like, does that go back and forth?
We did a really good job of throwing out the regular season, to be honest. The only thing we took from the regular season was just like our confidence, knowing that we can achieve whatever. We kind of looked at like our biggest games during the season. We were like, okay, this is what it takes to win. We tried to treat those really like playoff games. So we did a really good job with that. And then just from like a confidence standpoint, I think the hardest thing to do is when you're not playing well or you're down about your game is to still have confidence that you're an elite player. So, I mean, Vaughn joked about it a while ago where he was like, you watch your highlights on YouTube, but that definitely helps. So you try to like watch something to like get you motivated and keep your confidence.
You need to do that.
Yeah, I'm human. Everybody goes through moments, especially like on this stage, you always are questioning if you're good enough. And I think I've gotten to a point where when I question that, I kind of lean into it a little more and I challenge myself.
You're a 40 piece in the finals.
Yeah, and then I was negative 40 the next game.
That did happen. That's kind of what I'm talking about, staying humble and staying confident.
There you go.
He's really well spoken.
Right, exactly. Now, we're already into this today, that this whole thing about dynasty, here we go again. Last year was a dynasty when you talk about Tatum and Holiday and Brown and Horford and Porzingis and, Sam Hauser coming off the bench and, all of that. And that Boston was going to be a dynasty. And then it faltered. Now they're talking about all of a sudden OKC. They're the dynasty. We'll wait and see. It's already, the hyperbole is starting to flow because of SGA's performance this season. They said the same thing about the Bucks. Once Giannis got his championships and it was going to be the big three and it was going to be Cash Money and Drew Holiday and they were going to do all of this and keep that band together. And the only guy they let go was the junkyard dog. And the next thing you know, that they can't get past that first round for a couple of years. And there's injuries to Giannis and the dynasty that was supposed to be never was. So it's just leave it alone. By the way, what did you deem the Giannis text to be? Did you see that?
Yeah, one of his kids probably pooped their pants or something. I don't know.
That was the and now they're referring to some kind of an announcement that some team had more assets because they were going to go after Kevin Durant and they didn't get him, so they're now going to set their sights on Giannis. And they're trying to they are doing nationally, and I say they meaning nationally, trying to do anything and everything they can to create a story in which there's a reason for Giannis to leave Milwaukee. Milwaukee has already said they're going to build around him. They're not letting him go. Giannis has already said, I don't want to go anywhere and I want to win here. I don't know what more has to be said, but every day they're trying to talk Giannis out of not being a Milwaukeean. I hope Giannis at some point, and I know he's probably not listening to this program, but just a plea. I would love for him one time to just say, all these people talking about me wanting out of here or wanting to be traded and move on somewhere else, they're not right. They're completely wrong. I want to win here. If a time comes where it's time for me to leave, it'll be time for me to leave. But I want to be here. I want to win here. I want to stay here for the remainder of my career if I can. And just stop talking about me and just to leave it alone. It creates a lot of, for lack of a better term, with Bucks fans, an anxiety. And for the rest of the world, some kind of false hope that they're suddenly going to get the mammoth whale that is Giannis. And I almost, it's now getting to the point where what they're conjuring up is almost laughable at this point. I just that it's to that point where it's like you're losing all your credibility because you continually try to perpetuate this narrative that just isn't there anymore. So anyway, that's just kind of my 2 cents on all of that. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to find us? Do it. Would love to hear from you. 877-867-1670. I did want to mention this, and for those that may not have listened to us in the first hour of the program, but I wanted to get to the race that was this past weekend and the fact that you had a hell of a race in unbelievable conditions at Road America this past weekend. Alex Palou, they ended up winning, and Felix Rosenquist ends up taking second place. Santo Ferrucci took third. Kyle Kirkwood, who I was kind of looking forward, he might have been my long shot to win this thing. He ended up fourth, who he said they had a terrible day. And to finish fourth, he said, was just overcoming all the odds. Apparently, their car just wasn't set up very well. Scott Dixon took the chance. He just was he was about to run out of fuel. So with a couple of laps left, he came in, got a splash, enough to get him around the track twice more, but it just wasn't enough to catch up. He ended up finishing ninth in that one. And Josef Newgarden, again, not able to finish on lap 30. 31, I think. Lap 31 is what it was when he ended up kind of spinning and crashing. You had Stingray Robb. He ended up only 9 laps in. Schwartzman with 3 laps in. They had caution where he ended up going down in this one. Everybody else completed the race, but they did have some people that were off the track, some people that spun off into the gravel, into the sand, and they had to come out and get them. But because the first portion of this race was just marred by the yellow flag. And sometimes for a race fan, that's kind of cool. But after that, it just became, I think the last 22 laps or something like that were just run. And then it was just strategy about what was going to happen, who was going to pit, who wasn't going to pit, the tires that they still had, the splash of gas they needed, because some were running on the, kind of the thought process that there's going to be another caution. We're going to be able to come in and get gas. And ultimately there wasn't. So therefore, Alex Palou, whose team did bring him earlier to give him a full tank of gas, he was able to just outrun everybody. But what a spectacular weekend. The weather was hot. But for all of you that showed up, all the race fans that came out, that pre-bought tickets, that sold that place to almost capacity, you can never totally sell it out. But what a weekend it was out of Road America. It was just a spectacular show that Road America, again, put on for the world to see on one of the most, if not the most spectacular road courses in the United States. And, oh, by the way, does anybody even know what happened in NASCAR this weekend? No, because nobody's really watching. And then the fact that you had this, and Fox, by the way, has done a tremendous job with IndyCar racing. To see it on Fox was fantastic. To see what we already know in our backyard, to see what the rest of the world got a chance to see. Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
I've seen you talk about Fox. So I pay attention to the show First Things First every day, which is on afternoons with Nick Wright and Broussard. They had Alex Palou on the week of the Indy 500 and then afterwards. And you wouldn't believe, at least in my perspective and what I see, you wouldn't believe the difference that makes. Just one, if a driver or an analyst goes on Cowherd for 10 minutes and people hear that and they go, that sounds kind of interesting. I'll at the very least, I'll check and see how that guy does. Right. I'll watch for 5 minutes. That stuff makes a huge difference. Yep. I think Fox does it better than any other network.
I agree. I think Fox does a fantastic job with racing. What they have done for the IndyCar races is fantastic because remember, they only get half a season with NASCAR, and NASCAR did the deal with NBC, and NBC puts them on NBC Sports. They don't put them on NBC on the full network unless it's a really big race. And I think it has done nothing but a disservice to them. I think their racing is boring. I think their commentating is boring. And their arrogant is all get out. I want to say other stronger language because NASCAR, as much as I would love to see NASCAR get back to what it was late 80s, mid 90s, through that stretch when they were really at their highest level of popularity, they have screwed it up royally. And they're too arrogant and just too plain stupid to admit it. And so be it, man. I love the fact that IndyCar is open to the fans. They open up their pitch. You can walk around. You can see the drivers. You can talk to them. You can talk to the crew chiefs. You can talk to the mechanics. You can see all of that. They welcome you in. Come on in. We know we're good, but we're not the biggest and the best, and we're never going to treat ourselves like we are the biggest and the best. And their Formula One is the ultimate of ultimates, and they are very unreachable. IndyCar is IndyCar, and they allow you to walk through the pits. They allow you to do anything and everything just to present their product better than everybody else. NASCAR, keep running races in Chicago and Mexico and all your other garbage places that you have to go. And I don't mean Mexico in a garbage sense. I mean, like, you've taken it from the traditional tracks and you've alienated your fan base, and you're trying to grow it worldwide when you can't even grow it right here in your own backyard. You're as dumb can be. So I love what's going on at Road America, and I love what's going on with the IndyCar. So
Speaking of NASCAR, who is the driver who just got in trouble? My buddy was telling me about it because he referred to Mexico City as an SH, a you know what hole. Yeah. And it's the young the driver that everybody loves, the hot driver, and I can't remember his name. But said on stream, like, basically bitched about having to go to Mexico City. And his team fined him a good amount of money.
Carson something or other. I don't know what his name is.
It's not Casanova.
Carson
Casanova.
I can't remember his name.
Hocevar? Something like that?
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, he was complaining about going to Mexico City. I heard about that this weekend, and I thought of you because his team fined him. I think my buddy told me like $50K. He might have made that. I don't think he made that up, but he might be a little wrong on that.
No, 50 grand is what they ended up. I read that, and I remember the 50 grand because I'm like, wow, that's a hefty fine, man. But and look, behind the scenes with everything that's going on in our country, it was a very bad optic for NASCAR to not only go to Mexico. I understand wanting to grow your sport, but it was a bad optic for them when you're alienating tracks and fans in your own fan base in your own backyard to then go to Mexico and talk about this being one of the greatest places ever to race. You can't read the room. You just can't read the room. You have got a ginormous horse's ass running NASCAR right now, and they have no clue as to what's going on. It's so bad that even the broadcasters sound at times disinterested and frustrated. And it comes through on the broadcast. If you listened to the broadcast yesterday and watched it on Fox, that level of excitement, of enthusiasm, of talking about everything from the drivers to the strategy to the track and to who, it was like it was the last lap, every lap of that race with the excitement they bring. You could actually put kids to sleep. If you can't, it used to be you'd have to drive your kid around in a car when you're, a baby daddy. Now, just let them watch a NASCAR race. They'll all be snoring by about the third or fourth lap once that gets going. And your stages and your it's just dumb. It's terrible racing. And a lot of race car drivers in NASCAR know it. You can listen to some of the comments that have been made by other drivers in car, in race, about some of the things that NASCAR is doing. And granted, it's frustration because some of the drivers are mad at what some of the rules and regulations that NASCAR throw at them. But it's garbage racing. And they deserve everything they get because what they did was they followed NBC and they chased all the money. And sometimes when you chase the money doesn't necessarily equal the rainbow, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And what they're finding is that they chased the money, they got to the end of the rainbow, but really it was coming out of a horse's ass and it was just a big pile is what it was. And that's where NASCAR's at right now. 877-867-1670. I'll tell you how I really feel later. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Get the Road America app. You can watch and listen live. Get real-time updates on the races, driver interviews, sponsor details, and so much more. Go to roadamerica.com.
The Big River Rally coming to La Crosse, Wisconsin, June 27th and 28th. Don't miss the excitement on the main stage Friday night. It's Texas Hippie Coalition. And Saturday night drowning pool. Tickets are on sale now. Want more? Follow Big River Rally on social or go to BigRiverRally.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Victory cigars for everybody watching Brewers game this weekend. I'll tell you that right now. They were lighting them up and enjoying the music in the air conditioning. Got a nice ash this past weekend. Nice Ash Cigar Bar. TheNiceAsh.com. TheNiceAsh, A-S-H. TheNiceAsh.com. 323 West Main Street, downtown Waukesha. Whether it's for the live music on Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, or the huge selection and the big walk-in humidor, or the different flavors of hookahs. They have a bourbon and whiskey club. Monday nights, they have poker. They have all kinds of good stuff down there. Or you just want to go in and get a great vibe, a great setting to go in, sit in one of those big plush leather chairs, sit in front, watch one of the games. It's always good stuff. 323 West Main Street, downtown Waukesha. That is TheNiceAsh.com. TheNiceAsh.com. Nice Ash Cigar Bar, 323 West Main Street, downtown Waukesha. Good stuff. Bryce says, yeah, I really don't know how you improve NASCAR. It seems like the drivers are divided on it as well. Also, Rob Dog, I remember when I was younger, I thought NASCAR was great, but now it's just a big joke and can't even name most of the drivers anymore. That's part of the problem. They have turned themselves off so much to the mass audience that they had, they ignored by trying to be something they weren't. Specifically over the last 4 years. They have tried to change the rules. They went to restrictor plate racing. They had all these different things. And then you had guys that were winning races and running away with championship points, and they wanted to make it stages. And, for every success, they wanted to create a failure. And what they did was they packed together so many failures that now people look at it and go, well, this sucks. And that's what you get. Because I really do. I enjoy racing. It is not necessarily sit down, must see TV for me. But when I'm out and about, or I'm sitting here at the house doing work on a weekend, it's something that's on. I enjoy it. But because I love racing. I love going to Road America. You know that. I talk about it all the time. But what NASCAR has done is just a travesty. It's just become a joke. I would rather go to some of the local tracks and watch some of the racers that I know that are here in the state of Wisconsin, then go to a NASCAR event or sit and watch NASCAR. It's just pathetic. It really is.
It's just pathetic. A lot of things deterred a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. And it seemed like every step they took, they stepped in it. And it was all over their shoe. And instead of trying to wipe it off, they tried to wipe it off in the next pile. And they just kept stepping in it. So anyway, that's my NASCAR rant for the day. So there you have it. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Here's something for you. Just came out through betonline.ag. Who is going to be the next manager fired in Major League Baseball? Who's the next Major League manager fired? Now, I don't want to get into all of that when it comes to definite firing, but the good news is, and I immediately start scanning, not even on the board is Pat Murphy. That's all I care about. Nobody's thinking he's going anywhere. I love that fact. Real quick, let's go to Steve listening to us in Eau Claire. Steve, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Well, Bill, I am in 100% agreement with what you're saying about NASCAR and how far it has fallen over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I used to watch it religiously. I was a huge Matt Kenseth fan. I even went to 3 races back in the 2000s, 2 at Bristol and 1 at the Brickyard. And this was back when the only way you could get tickets to Bristol was if you knew someone who already had them.
Right.
I mean, my dad's boss at the time had a row of seats there, and that was the only reason we got to go. But now in the last 15 years or so, I could probably count on one hand the number of times I've even tried to watch a race. So that got me wondering, if you had to pick one person or one decision that you feel is the most responsible for how far NASCAR has fallen, who or what would it be?
NBC, because they are trying. What they did was years ago when Formula One came out with their documentary, NBC said, if we're going to follow that level of popularity, we got to start moving races around. We got to do road races in Mexico. They're talking about doing one in San Diego now. They've talked about doing it in Canada now. They wanted to move it to Chicago, a race that drew almost 400,000 fans to Wisconsin. They took and drew less than 100,000 fans to Chicago, and the ratings were absolutely positively terrible for it. Remember, the first one they did was rain-soaked, and they had to come out and get squeegees and cut open paper or cut open those banners on the side of the road because the sewers weren't even draining. And then they were getting all of their equipment stolen. It was a travesty, and they lost millions on it. It's been an embarrassment for quite some time, and this whole racing in the bowl out in Pasadena, and it just, your first big race should be your Super Bowl, much like it's always been the Daytona 500, and then you hit your regular tracks. And what they did was they got completely away from the people that supported it for all those years, and they started alienating fan bases to grow the sport. And instead, they screwed everybody that already was there. They pissed off their faithful fan base. They didn't garner the new fan base. So they keep making up rules and restrictions and all the different things they wanted to have go along with it to try to make it more competitive and bring people back. And in doing so, they effed it all up. And they have nobody to blame but themselves because they chase the money, and that's all. And NASCAR, and I'll be honest with you, NBC has no idea what they're doing when it comes to NASCAR racing. They're terrible at it, and they've screwed that up.
Well, their announcers were... Yeah, their announcers were never anywhere near as good as Fox's was. But I think if I had to pick one person, I think it would be Mike Helton, the former NASCAR president, because when he first got in there, he was all about the racing. But as the years went on, he came to be all about the dollar signs. And you're right. How many traditional races, like the Southern 500, perfect example. It was on Labor Day for how many years, and then they moved it.
Right.
They realized that it was a total disaster. I think they ended up moving it back to Labor Day now, didn't they?
I don't know, because I haven't even followed the scheduling of that. Once they left Road America, I'm just like, oh, it's on this weekend. Certain things like Phoenix and Las Vegas and Bristol and some of the more traditional tracks I'll watch, but for the most part, not. It's just, I watched the Daytona 500, and after that, maybe a little bit when they go down to the Brickyard, but beyond that, nothing. NASCAR doesn't really interest me. And I'll be honest with you, and what they did was a travesty for quote exciting racing on NBC, which it's as boring can be. Yeah. I mean, I do I 100% blame Helton for everything that's happened over the years? No, but a lot of what he did, it became a snowball effect. I mean, it segued into the Hendrick cars winning everything. It segued into,
caring about nothing but sponsors and dollar signs. It was just a huge snowball effect that I think all started with him.
Nope, completely 100% agree. 100% agree. Appreciate the phone call. I mean, if you really go back to it, and I don't want to blame Toyota, but when they put Toyota in there, it used to be the good old boys of Dodge, Ford, and Chevy. Then Toyota came along, and Toyota has a legitimate car. But Toyota came along, and people looked at it as, oh, okay, it's not the American kind of arrogant redneck sport that it was. And that alienated some people. And then it became more, and they started, infusing more. And it's just, and I'm not blaming Toyota. I'm just saying that the beginning of the discontent began when they brought in Toyota. And it has been decision-making after decision-making after, because right now all you've got in IndyCar is Honda and Chevrolet. And they run on Firestone. Manufactured, Honda, obviously not, although they have a huge plant of race down in Indianapolis. Just east of Indianapolis. Honda has a huge facility of local employees, and they really boast about trying to do more here in the United States. But Chevrolet, right here. So it's Chevy, it's Honda, it's Firestone. Firestone made right there in Akron, Ohio. They've kind of held a little bit true to that, even though they have had international races before. They were racing in Australia for years and years and years. So I don't know. It's just, I think NASCAR screwed themselves. They chased the money and they screwed themselves. It is what it is. All right. I want to get back to baseball. I want to talk some Brewers and a lot more. So don't go anywhere. We've got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. This portion of the program brought to you by our good friends over there at Smoke on the Water. They had a big weekend. That bourbon bar that they just opened over there, that thing is nice. Even though it's outside, a lot of people were trekking out there this past weekend, braving the heat. They got some fans going. Yeah, it's a nice place. Indoors is fantastic. I mean, below deck is beautiful, and they always have music and such in there. But, man, the outdoor bourbon bar has been a huge hit. And if you're taking a boat on OKC Lake, they even have, I think it's 5 or 6, maybe 7 slips. They actually have slips boat docks. You can pull up and take a load off and also, go up and get something to eat and, make it part of your day. That's our friends at Smoke on the Water on OKC Lake on Wisconsin Avenue out there. Don't forget about Sloppy Joe's Saloon and Spoon right there on Hubertus Road, which is just east of Holy Hill. Both places owned by Joe and Ellen Hennis. They do a great job. Smoke on the Water and also Sloppy Joe's Saloon and Spoon.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Phil Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Yeah, I love it. We're being little woodpeckers and probably should get in the weight room. Yeah, I like homers. Yeah, I like homers a lot. So let's make no mistake about it.
Love homers. Love it. Love it. Murph talking about how they just, he calls them woodpeckers. Woodpeckers. They just keep pecking away until finally they get themselves the run that they need, and there you go. Not a bad way to go. So this portion of the program, by the way, brought to you by our friends over there at Cousins Subs. Cousins Subs, they believe in better, whether it's the pepperoni melt with the extra mayo or extra cheese, or it's just something that you prefer with a nice ice-cold shake on a day like today. Make it a Cousins Subs kind of day. Go to cousinsubs.com or just download the app. You can also get delivery or just go and get their pickup. But nevertheless, Cousins Subs, tremendous people, tremendous place. That is our friends over there at Cousins Subs. And man, oh man, I tell you this, what a weekend it was for the Brewers in the sense that they did exactly what they needed to do. Joining us now on the hotline, Tim Allen, host of the Baseball Postgame Show in Milwaukee, joining us to talk a little Brewers success. And they're only 3.5 games back, Tim. We've been dreaming about this, and lo and behold, next thing you know, all of a sudden they're creeping up into the back rearview mirror of the Cubs.
And 8 over 500, Bill. I mean, You want to hang out around 10 over, so they're getting there a little bit. They've 22 and 10 in their last 32, and the offense starting to pick things up a little bit. Lately, I've been just talking about what they have in terms of the playoffs, just caliber-wise. Are they a playoff caliber starting rotation? I think you can check that box.
Gosh, yes.
The bullpen, do they have, despite yesterday getting chipped away at the entire second half of the game, that bullpen is dynamite. Uribe and Koenig and McGill at the back end. You got the two lefties in there, Hall and Ashby. But I think that's a playoff caliber bullpen, playoff caliber defense. We can check both those boxes. Well, what's left? You have the managing and the coaching. Sure, that's already proven to be playoff caliber. Now it's the offense, and the offense, and make no mistake, is significant to point out. They weren't good early. I mean, let's not forget that. But they're playing more like I thought they would. And I'm not going to preach, I was right. But the lion's share of improvement had to come from these guys that they have. I know a lot of Brewer fans, including myself, still, even though the offense has produced lately for a month or so, I still want to bat at the deadline. I still don't be content with what they've got here. But my thought was at the beginning of the year, Bill, was that this team could get you in trouble anywhere in the lineup. And that means at the bottom, whether that's Turang down there, we all thought maybe Turang was going to be the leadoff guy. I think Frelick has taken that over. But, you get these guys on, and it's a distraction because they can all run. They're little, as Murph calls them, and you were just alluding to, woodpeckers. They'll peck away at you, and pecking away at the other guys, part of that is your base running. And so you get a Caleb Durbin on. All right, what's Joey going to do? You going to bunt him over? You going to hit and run? Is he going to straight steal? What do you got going here? That's what I thought this offense could be. And home runs, finally, yeah, he said the same thing Council said a couple of years ago when people got on him. He said, well, what do you think? I think Council's comment was, you think homers are a bad thing? Well, of course not. Everybody likes home runs. We all know that. I personally, Bill, like batting average and on base better.
I do too. I mean, 100% agree with you. I've said all along, when you talk about getting a bat, do you want a bat that's going to give you 25 to 35 home runs and hit 230, 240? Or do you want somebody that's going to hit 275, get on base, and drive in guys that are already on base? And I would take the guy that's going to get on base more often than not, because he's either going to score or he's going to drive in runs. The home run hitters, they tend to strike out a lot. And look, it's not to say you can't do both. I mean, if you can find somebody out there that hits 275 and hits you 30 bombs, take it in a heartbeat. But you might have to go one way or the other. I just want to see somebody that's going to make consistent contact and be more of a consistent hitter.
Yep. Work that pitch count up. That's the other thing. When you're a little gnat, when you're a little woodpecker, man, you work that pitch count up, keep following, keep fighting, keep going, keep grinding. I mean, how many against Joe Ryan on Friday night? That's a perfect example. They worked that dude's pitch count up quite a bit. They frustrated him. He was not pleased. He took it out on a few bad calls, but he was frustrated in that, Frelick had a 9-pitch at bat. I think Durbin and possibly even Ortiz, they had an 8-pitch at bat, 9-pitch at bat, and 11-pitch at bat in that game early against Ryan. Those little gnats. Now, you mentioned hits 30 bombs and knocks in 100. Guess what? That's Christian Yelich.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing now. That's where he's at. He's a 3,100 guy. Now, is that over the top, one of the superstars of baseball, those numbers? Well, maybe not. But his batting average now at right around 260, bottomed out a month ago at 184-ish. And so, I mean, this guy, prorate the numbers, we're not quite to the halfway mark. He's been outstanding.
Would you look at a guy? There's a couple of guys, Eugenio Suarez, over with the Arizona Diamondbacks. There's some talks about possibly a guy like him could possibly become available. Would you look in that direction? A third baseman that's got some pop that maybe is looking to get out of that situation in Arizona. Would you go and say, okay, let's go find that third baseman?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, you imagine always wanting to make your team a little bit better. And Ryan McMahon's name has been thrown out there as well. And I think potentially there may have already been some talks. Who knows? We would never really know. But could you imagine a left-handed third baseman to platoon with Durbin? Durbin's a little mighty might, man. Mm-hmm. He's a go-getter and he's a winner. And I believe when Pat Murphy believes in a player, he's proven that. When Murph says, hey, Bryce Durant, we haven't seen anything yet. It's going to take a quantum leap. And he did. He's saying the same thing about Durbin. He loves the way he plays. Just look out. He said the same thing about Sal Frelick. Sal he's my favorite player on the team right now.
Right.
And I think will be for years to come. That dude is just a baseball rat. Anything it takes, go get it for Sal. But you believe in Murph. So I'm not saying push Durbin all the way to the bench, but could you imagine a platoon of McMahon and Durbin, righty lefty, over there at third base? That'd be okay.
So you talked about the back end of the bullpen and McGill being the closer. Do you think Uribe eventually works himself into that? He has been so good. I mean, I know maybe you don't want to mess with it, but Uribe's been so good as kind of that setup guy.
Oh, he will be at some point, Bill. We all know it. He's going to be the closer for the team. Now, that being said, with McGill, I mean, you can't. 16 for 18 in save chances for McGill. He's pacing, 32, 33 saves for the season. Does it get a little rocky? Of course it does. It got really rocky with Devin Williams. It got frustratingly rocky with Josh Hader at times, where he'd hit a man and then he'd walk a man and then strike three out. Devin Williams constantly bases loaded, throwing a bunch of pitches. He's had 29 pitches now. He's fighting his tail off. We went through that with those guys as well. I mean, there's very few that Mariano Rivera's that just come in and never really, you're not nervous about it. McGill, he's got that hammer knuckle curve and can gas up to 100 or plus. You got to sit with them when they blow saves and punches. Bill, Doug Melvin taught me that you don't look at a closer until they blow saves in bunches, and that just hasn't happened for McGill yet.
What do you do when they want to bring up Brandon Woodruff? Because Woodruff is going to be probably the next on the docket to find time in the bigs.
Great question, and a good problem to have. I mean, let's just say it's a conventional 5-man rotation. One goes in, one comes out. I mean, you got to choose between Chad Patrick, Quinn Priester, Jose Quintana, Freddie Peralta, and Jacob Mizorowski.
Right.
How do you do that? How do you make that decision? Well, as you know, a lot of those types of questions are answered by themselves. They work themselves out.
Yeah.
If it comes to the point where it didn't, man, I'm not paid enough to make that decision.
Right.
Because I wouldn't want to make that decision. Maybe it's a 6-man. I don't know if you want to take Freddie off his normal regimen or Quintana. Those are the two guys you're going to pitch, especially when we get midseason here and beyond. You're pitching every 5 days. That's that. And I would consult with these guys. Do you want to play with a 6-man? It's tough to not let Woody or not give Woody that opportunity.
Right.
It's just a tough dilemma.
What would you, so if somebody, say, moves out of the bullpen, because you would assume that if you have a starter that is going to be moved, you would send them to middle relief. To me, is Zastryzny? Would he be the next guy out? He has not necessarily thrown well, and when he has, even though some of the numbers don't show it, there's times he's come in with runners on and has not been able to stop the bleeding at that point. He's had a couple of bad. Would he be the next guy out, or is there somebody else in that rotation in the bullpen, and you say they would be? Because to me, you bring up Woody. Woody would then displace somebody either in the bullpen or in the starting rotation. Maybe you put him in the bullpen and let him get his feet under him. But then when they move him around, somebody in that bullpen is probably going to go.
You could do that. There's Grant Anderson, who was already sent down once and brought back.
Right.
There's an option, and he's been really, really good too. But yeah,
and he's got an option too.
And they're full of options, right? Those guys, DL Hall's an option sort of player too that you could maybe send down. Rob might be the guy just because you do have the other lefties out there in Ashby and Hall. And I don't know if this organization will send Ashby down. They love him, and they want him to continue. He's still in a grand scheme working his way back from shoulder. I hate to make excuses for Ashby, but
yeah,
I mean, he's got great stuff. He throws upper 90s, and it's just they appear to love him. I'd be surprised if it were for Ashby, but yeah, Woody in the bullpen, that's an opportunity too. You can't rule this out, but again, tough and difficult. but a good one, a good problem to have.
There you go. Tim Allen, host of the Baseball Postgame Show. Tim, always great to have you on the board, and I certainly appreciate you hanging out with us for a couple of minutes. As always, let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back, and we'll wrap it up. This portion of it brought to you by our friends at Potawatomi Hotel, Casino, and the Sports Book. Go to paysbig.com. That is paysbig.com. Whether it's gaming, the sports, everything's under one roof, and it's air conditioned, by the way. Not a bad way to go. Restaurants, bars, music. They got music, live music, DJs thumping. The hotel and bar always open. Always good stuff at Potawatomi Sportsbook. Go to paysbig.com. That is paysbig.com. And all throughout the month of June, don't forget Thursdays, big booty days. And I'm not talking about your booty. I'm talking about you winning some booty, like a treasure hunt type of thing. That's going on at Potawatomi Sportsbook and Potawatomi Hotel Casino. Go to Paysbig for all the details. Paysbig.com. That is paysbig.com.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
And now for the Pella play-by-play, here's Jeff Levering.
Thanks, Gina Della from Pella. What a beautiful day to have new windows and doors installed.
Every day is beautiful because Pella installs year-round during all seasons.
And as Pella goes into another windup, it's so hard to guess that next pitch. The customizations seem endless.
And it doesn't have to be super expensive. Pella has a product line for every budget.
And if it is time for a major upgrade, rest easy by scoring no interest and no payments for up to 2 years.
Pella also provides a free in-home consultation, which includes a no-obligation quote.
That's always a great play because working with one of Pella's design experts is such a wonderful, no-pressure get-together. I know this from experience.
With a range of affordable options and products assembled in the USA, you can get the look you want at a price you can afford.
And there's no reason to wait with this incredible deal going on.
Get no interest and no payment for up to 2 years.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. 6/30/2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
going to do it for today. Hopefully the Brewers keep the win streak alive. You got Pittsburgh coming up tonight. And Chet Patrick against Ashcraft tonight. Should be a good matchup. They go against one another. 6:40 first pitch down at American Family Field. I'm looking forward to it. Tonight's a sit out back, watch the weather, and grill out kind of night. By the way, in the rest of the division, Cincinnati hosting the Yankees. Lodolo goes to the Hill tonight for the Cincinnati Reds. And then you've obviously got the other teams that are involved in the Central. They are the Cubs and the Cardinals. They're facing off down in St. Louis as Liberatore goes tonight for St. Louis and Brown goes tonight for the Cubs. And you look for the Cardinals. Obviously, they're in the hunt as well, trying to make a stab at this. So you'd love to see the Cardinals maybe knock off, even though the Cardinals are only a game behind the Brewers, you'd love to see the Brewers get a win over the Pirates and the Cardinals knock off the Cubs once or twice in the series. Brewers climb to within maybe a game or so. That'd be fantastic. Cincinnati 6.5 games back. And as long as the Brewers keep winning and keep pace, then the Cubs continue to fall. Everybody else remains the same behind the Brewers. So you take it. So you're hoping for a win tonight. The Brewers have won 4 straight, looking for their 5th. They've won 7 out of their last 10. And over the last 10 games, the Cubs are only 5-5. So the Brewers a little bit hot right now. Ever since that game in Chicago where you saw Murph get all fired up, the Brewers have been on fire ever since. So keep it going tonight. Knock on wood that it continues. So we'll talk again 20 hours from now. And then we'll be back at it again tomorrow to wrap up, or I shouldn't say wrap up, but to talk more about the wrap up from tonight's contest and whatever else happens to come our way. But good stuff. Today flew by, Grant. I mean, today motored.
Yeah, it did.
Holy mackerel.
It was a fun show.
Yeah, it motored. Tomorrow we got Jim Ozarski. We're going to have our buddy Chuck Freeman from the Locked On Brewers podcast, among others.